Good afternoon, good morning, good evening, and hello to all of you across the world, and welcome to the final day of 3D Tech Fest.
Oh my God,
My
I
name is
can't.
Brooke Vigut. I am the lead producer of 3D Tech Fest, and with me we have Saul Guzman, who is the VP Brand Communications Alvanon. Is that who you
And
are?
Alvanon, yes, and one of the original people who started working on 3D Tech Fest 5 years ago.
Oh
And
my God, it's
so,
the 5th year. How does it feel after 5 of these, heading into the final day?
I mean, honestly, it's a little bit surreal. I mean, this was an idea in the middle of the pandemic, and the world seemed so scary back then. We all had a lot of questions. It was a time of change. And so to bring everyone together to try to navigate that together and then to see it sort of, live on 5 years after, it's pretty cool.
It's truly, truly incredible. And we want to say thank you to all of you who have been here the last 2 days and who are going to hang out with us today. To get us started, let us know where you're tuning in from in the comments and maybe your favorite place to shop.
Yes.
If you have one. I love a good thrift store or a good department store, but I don't know. So where do you like to shop?
I am a little bit biased to an antique market. I like, yes. If you're in Mexico City, there's a really, really good area called Lagunilla on Sundays. Pretty cool. And you can find everything from apparel to little, stuff for the home.
Amazing. I love it. I love it. We get the big brands, we get luxury, we get Walmart, all the above of those places, right?
Yes.
Amazing. Well, throughout today, we just want to encourage you, our friends in the audience, to stay active in the comments however you can. Let us know what your big takeaways from the sessions are. And then several of the talks throughout the day are also going to have Q&A portions. So that will come through in the comments as well, and our speakers will get to as many of the questions as they possibly can while keeping us on time. So we keep pushing throughout the day. Saul, today's theme is next-gen consumer experience. What does that even mean?
I mean, that's what we're going to find out, right? I mean, I feel like it's one of these buzzy words and just we can go in so many different directions. Virtual showrooms, virtual fitting, e-commerce, inventory, as we'll see with some of the guests from today.
It'll be so great. So great. Saul.
Yes.
I think you wanted to share a few things with our audience from like the last.
Yes. I mean, well, before we get started today, I really it's been an awesome last 2 days. We've had many really good sessions, and I wanted to sort of just talk about some of my favorite ones, my personal favorite ones, and just share them with the audience. I know some people are tuning in today because it is a work week and people have to work, and so we know that our audience sort of some people have watch parties at companies, some people tune in to sessions, some people go back and play the recordings, and so just let's look back at day one. One of my personal favorites, was Brendan Keeney from Tapestry and Coach, and it was amazing. It was amazing in so many ways, in so many, how can I say this to preface it? We get the luxury of working with people before 3D Tech Fest happens, right? We get to sort of hear their ideas, and we get to, from the open call, which starts in May, down to reading every single submission we get, right? We had like 60 plus. You and I get to do that, to then sending them, to the judges to judge blindly. And, and then after that, we get to, see what comes out of it. And, but we get to work with people on their sessions. And so I found Brandon's very inspiring, at a time when so many 3D teams got sort of cut or laid off, to see, him, just see what he's doing at Coach. And then also just what they're doing with 3D assets across, e-commerce, marketing, TPC, in-person events. I found that pretty inspiring, and I think, build once and use many was the theme of that session. What did you think?
It's such a great ethos, and Brandon's such a wonderful job too of talking about his journey as someone who was able to start designing in 3D as a teenager, right? Just by use of gaming platforms, and what that's turned into is this stunning career working with such cool IP.
Absolutely. To be even making money from 3D assets at 13 is pretty extraordinary.
Crazy. Yeah, and just so our audience knows, that was day one, but all of 3D Tech Fest starting October 2nd will be available to view on our YouTube channel. So if you have registered for the festival, you will receive access to all of those things. So keep an eye on your inbox and you can go in, dig into
back. Yeah. Another session, that I would like draw people to was the Beshka session from yesterday, from Inditex. Yeah, I mean, I don't know if many people know Beshka, but it's the, younger brand of the Sarah parent group. Everyone knows Sarah, but Beshka is sort of like the young little sister. And, they have over 1,000 stores, and I'm trying to remember, I think it was like 90 markets. And here's a team who completely, implemented a new sizing for its brand, on its 25th anniversary, and, to see 10% reductions, in returns that are in the multiple of millions is pretty inspiring.
I was going to say, that's millions of dollars. 10% returns is such
unheard of. Within the fashion industry, it's unheard of.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And what's really cool about them is, they are product development people. They're not, executives or VPs or people who are, focused on that. They're focused on being more efficient and doing a good job, and totally inspire their whole teams to make this leap with them. And now they're sort of seen as these, unsung heroes within the Inditex group, which is special.
Yeah, they're the people doing the work, and they get to talk about it.
Yeah.
And then there's one more session that we wanted to point out that's going to come up in just a few minutes. Janice Wang, who's Albanon CEO, has a really robust conversation with Daniel Bote, the global inventory VP from Guess.
Yes.
Again, with a really strong case study about how they got everything together, moving from like Excel sheets to like an actual functional inventory system.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So stay tuned for those conversations today, y'all. And it's going to be a really, really exciting day.
Absolutely. All right, why don't we get started?
All right, it's time to get started. Yeah, today we have a number of sessions, including a presentation from Deborah Weinswig, who's the CEO of Coresight Research, as well as a few panels on fit and sizing, some conversations about virtual showroom and the future of e-commerce, and a conversation with guests. So stick around today. We're going to be hanging out for about 3 hours with tons of good stuff. So please stick with us.
Home stretch.
All right. Thank you. So, I'm going to take you down and introduce Deborah, and we're going to get all of our stuff started. All right. So our first session up today is a presentation from Deborah Weinswig, who's the CEO and founder of Coresight Research. She's going to kick off today with an insightful presentation about how technology is revolutionizing the world of retail and fashion. From AI integration to sustainability, she's going to explore all of the things that are driving the industry forward. A little bit about Deborah as I bring her up. Deborah is the CEO and founder of Coresight Research. Hi, Deborah.
Hello.
Welcome. She's also a globally recognized retail strategist with extensive, unmatched expertise in the intersection of tech, finance, and retail. So we are in really good hands today. And we're going to hear a little bit about her vision for the future in some ways, context of now and what's next. So Deborah, you want to go ahead and start sharing your slides and we'll get rolling?
That sounds great. We're really excited to be here. Thank you so much for this opportunity. And what we're seeing right now is truly a very interesting kind of opportunity around everything in the digital world that I would say our kind of not only retailers, but also brands, and how they're spending money, how they're looking at not just design, but kind of the people that they're working with and what all of this means to them. And so that I would say is kind of the key to what all of this is in the future. And that I think is kind of where we're starting, not just ending, but that idea around not only fit for purpose, but also this kind of entire journey along the way. And that
Deborah,
you and I, yep.
I'm not seeing your slides, my friend. Let's do it.
we get those up there because
I
we
know
spent
you have
so much
tons.
time on these slides.
I
So
know, we got to make sure it's shared with everybody.
get those up there. So the on the slide front, as we get these up here, you know,
Take
one
your
of the
time.
kind of areas of focus for us was truly around, this kind of future of design, right? So when we were at Li and Fung, we were spending a lot of our time looking at all of the areas of, kind of what could be possible. How do you work in kind of like a 24/7 world? And this idea around the not only what could be possible today for retailers and brands, but also in the future and what this kind of like truly, truly meant. And so as we kind of,
Deborah, I'm so sorry to interrupt you. We're still not seeing them. I just want to make sure that we get all of the wonderful research and data that you guys are able to share.
okay, we will get those up there.
Take your time.
As like we said, we spent so much time on these.
I know.
we want to make sure that that we have the opportunity. So I think that the as we look at this kind of future of and thinking about kind of, I love this idea of like transformative changes. And one of the things we wanted to point out is not just kind of like where we've been in the history, but kind of like where we're going. And so we want to talk about what we're seeing on Gen AI. We've got kind of the one slide that really is critical for the whole day is just the numbers, right? So we're all kind of talking about this impact, but what does it really mean? And then kind of going through some of the numbers and how we got there. And hopefully we'll have time for a question or two. So I think one of these reports is kind of like future of fashion, and kind of shaped by technology, AI powered supply chains, operations, and experiences. I think when we wrote that, it was really written almost with kind of like an Alvedon in mind, if you will, right? And what we're seeing in terms of how technology is being used in then probably one of the oldest industries in the whole world. And we're seeing efficiencies, as it's Climate Week in New York, this is so apropos. We're seeing efficiencies. We're seeing definitely waste reduction. We're seeing products design that, kind of consumers really love and brands as well. But I think these are some reports that we've written recently. It's all been the last 6 months, and truly around how we're seeing fashion really change at a pace that you wouldn't expect. I love this slide, and this was one of the first, probably was the first actually, as we were starting to think about Gen AI and the impact on retail brands and everything kind of in the ecosystem. And if you look right up and to the right, the most complex, right, time to implement, but the impact, the greatest benefit is in supply chain. And so if we think about everything that's being done here, and you've got kind of product design and sustainability, so it all kind of comes together. But these are opportunities with Gen AI, and I think so much of what Janice and the Alvedon team has done, and she's been such a critical part of everything that we're doing in our AI Council, which we'll talk about next. And Daniel's part of it, and Janice has had a huge part, as are many other people who are really participating in 3D Tech Fest. And that's what's been so interesting. And so we've had what have been kind of truly these kind of closed door meetings. We've talked about real kind of challenges that retailers are facing. And I'll tell you again and again and again, design came up, sustainability and supply chain. And so Janice has been an absolute critical kind of member for us and has made such a huge difference. And so as we kind of come to today, right? So that's kind of in the past, the research we've done, how we've looked at Gen AI and the impact. When you look at the numbers and the data, I mean, we're truly talking significant impact. And I've always been, and we talked about this a little bit in our prep. I really feel that returns, right? And depending on where you are in the world, but in the US now, especially with e-commerce returns, we were talking to some brands, and their return rates are over 2/3. So you're talking, and this has been recent. They said it's like continue to climb, right? It's right. We had the moment during the pandemic where I think everybody started to shop differently, but they said that the return rates have continued to climb. And that is why I believe, right, 3D design is so important because, right fit, right color, right design, and the impact not only on the environment but also on companies' P&Ls is truly critical. So let's dive into some of these numbers. So if we just take a giant step back on what we're really talking about is the ability not only to, kind of improve PD, but also for those who are working in this industry, right? There can be a bit of monotony, if you will, right? Because you're doing kind of like the same thing over and over and over. What we found when we've worked with companies on 3D design is that many more people in the organization are able to really participate from a design perspective. And so they can, see what is critical. They can, comment. There was one client of ours, and they were doing T-shirts, and someone was like, "Oh, we need more relish on this hot dog. We need," it was like a picture of a hot dog, whatever. And it was unbelievable how much more successful that product was than I think it would have been. And so, right, there's this kind of speed component, right? Almost 70% of brands and retailers across US, Canada, Western Europe consider speed to market to be critical to their business. But also, I think this idea that you can get more people involved really makes a huge difference. And number two here, so if you look at, there's been countless studies, we've done countless studies on sustainability. Are people willing to pay more? This, that, and the other. But I do think we're continuing to see, especially with Gen Z, right? This idea that they take sustainability into account in their shopping process. And it's not necessarily to say that they're willing to spend more, but more of them are. And if you think about, we've got the greatest wealth transfer coming with this generation, but also a much more mindful consumer. And when you see how they shop, this idea of unified commerce, right? We physically follow them around in some of our focus groups, and right, they'll be in the stores, they'll see a product, they'll put it in their cart, they'll go home, they'll actually look at the measurements, right? They'll look at it again, they may go back to the store, but this idea of kind of like offline and online is seamless. And they're not necessarily putting it in their cart so they can go home and kind of like price check, right, against cheaper options. They just really want to do more research. And a lot of what we find is actually around sustainability and that entire story. And so I think this is kind of a great example, with Adidas and what they're doing with 3D printing technology, but also kind of how they're designing the shoe in the beginning and looking at kind of from a 3D design perspective. So number three, and this was the first one when we started to get very involved in this topic, was this ability to kind of customize and personalize and to do it in a much less expensive way. And, I love this number because, retailers and brands, there is often a disconnect between what they believe and the consumer. And if that wasn't the case, we'd have a lot less bankruptcies and a very different looking landscape. But 71% of US and UK brands and retailers think they do an excellent job here, but the same kind of as the customers look at the same, it's only 34%. So you're literally talking almost half. And that I think is something that's really critical. And one of the things, going back to an earlier slide, I've always worried is when you customize or personalize something and then they return it, right? So that is in many cases immediate waste. And anything that we can do to reduce that and to change. So I think this idea around bringing the consumer almost in the loop, right? If we talk about like the human in the loop with Gen AI, but when in the design process, et cetera, I think that is like so kind of critical. And number four, right? So 93% of US brands and retailers will increase investment in immersive experiences in the next couple of years. As for those of you who know me, I took a deep plunge into metaverse because I really believe, right? If you think about 3D design, right? The consumer was able to live it with us. And I think that while, many retailers and brands kind of went down that route, saw success, right? Experimented with NFTs, whatever it might be, I do think that there was an expense involved and not necessarily the return. But I think what we're going to see is this kind of marriage between Gen AI and metaverse. And, the idea that you can kind of almost be in the same room virtually with the products that you're buying, this, this I think is really important, and I think you get more information. And so, the examples we share here around Burberry's. So this kind of like AR shopping features, this idea that you're virtually able to experience this product. And when the product is designed in 3D, it's right from the beginning, right? Not only can you then use that asset online, but you can also use it in an AR world. And that we think is really critical. And this is what we saw at Lian Feng, and this is what Janice and I talked a lot about. Number 5, over 80% of retailers in the US and Canada lose at least 3% of revenues annually due to allocation. And this idea around, right, because it's like the wrong product, potentially in the wrong place at the wrong time. And so to be able to flip that around and have collaboration not only between, one retailer, but it could be, a retailer, a brand, the technology company, right? This idea that it's so much easier if everything is digital and, there's feedback along the way. You can kind of get the right product into the right location at the right time, or even, right, you start to change your entire, what we've seen, your infrastructure around warehousing. And so maybe use your stores as warehouses, but also this idea of that you're maybe pre-positioning product, kind of closer to the consumer is really critical. So this is like my happy slide, right? This is like retelling in the metaverse and digital fashion, and this is where, right, Janet and I have one of my friends who is a CIO of a very large brand. She and I would talk a lot about this opportunity. And, this idea that, you can also kind of create alongside with your customer and truly open them up to kind of new ideas and new partnerships. So like, who would have thought like Fortnite and Balenciaga, but this is just kind of like a great example of, I think this was like truly, honestly, Brooke, this is like my vision along the way of like where we would go and grow. And, we're here. It's just taking longer than I would expect. And then last point, so number 7, on-demand production. For a while, we at CoreSite, our office, we shared with Gerber, which was acquired by Electra. And they had, we were such a huge proponent. They had these micro factories, and the ability to basically produce at the time that the consumer wants it. I always dreamed of like drone delivery, right, to get the product to them. But this, I would say that it didn't come on exactly as I would have expected, because you have this huge opportunity where you have literally a micro factory. You can design, right? You can 3D design the product, right? Alongside the customer. You can then print it, make it, and get it to them. I mean, you could literally do this in the period of like a half a day. And so nobody's changing size in a half a day, right? And you can get the right measurements. And I just don't know if that's kind of like where the US consumer is right now. But if we look at what Shein is doing, right, in terms of almost this like zero waste model, I think it's like 2% compared to a much higher number for other brands around the world. But this idea that you're making it when the consumer is purchasing it, right? This, to me, it goes back to, as a startup ourselves, right? We have an agile mindset. And so this ability to help your customer think, kind of agilely as well, I think is really critical. And so as we conclude, we very much believe that technology in the apparel, footwear, beauty space is, kind of table stakes. And in a Gen AI world, which we're in, we're not going back, this idea that, we can design in, kind of collaboration with the consumer, in collaboration with many other people in the company where we weren't able to before, right? When I was at Lian Feng, right, we would design, we would send to our customer overnight. They would, kind of get us feedback, and, we'd be able to, we were really able to work 24/7 in everyone's time zones and get a much better product developed and designed and produced. And that to me is truly kind of what it's all about. And I think I love this kind of middle of the 4 stars, it should be 5 stars, but this idea that 3D design will facilitate retail transformation, right? And so many companies are spending so much money on this. But I really think that 3D design is truly the start of this. And this idea of enhancing and almost facilitating, I think is maybe even a better word, customer engagement and operational efficiency. And then lastly, brands investing in 3D design we really believe will be poised to thrive in a digital-first, sustainability-driven future. And when you start to think about what I think is really at the core of so many of our belief systems right now, the ability to reduce waste and to deliver something that, I mean, it was probably one of the first things I learned in retail was this idea around surprise and delight. And that I think is really what we're seeing and will continue to see. And I want to thank the Albanon team. I want to thank Janice. I want to thank you, because I think we were able to talk about so many important topics today. And, this idea that we're only just getting started. So this is, kind of the the full kind of picture of how we believe that we will see the future of fashion. And I know that we're only just getting started. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Deborah. And we really appreciate you being here with us. I know you're really, really busy, always on the go, but you know what? To hear directly from you and your future of the industry is very inspiring, I have to say. And personally, we're really excited because we feel like you hit every mark over the 3 days we've been talking about. You just confirmed it for us and you just gave us the numbers to back it up. And so, we're thrilled. And for anyone who's interested in learning more about the AI Council, I encourage them to get in touch. I know Albanon's been involved, but it's been nothing but great.
Yeah, you guys have been a huge supporter, which we appreciate. And so I just want to give you a shout out because you were truly one of the first people I talked to on this idea around adaptive design back in 2018.
Yes, I remember.
And if you think about it, it has completely changed the way that consumers and brands think about not only kind of serving customers, but this idea that there's a huge other market that they didn't necessarily knew existed. And I really want to say, right, the partnership with yourself, with Janice, with Albanon, but you guys are always at the cutting edge of, no pun intended, of, really of everything retail. And, I think we in the industry very much appreciate your thought leadership. So thank you so much.
No, thank you so much, Deborah. Really appreciate that. It's very kind of you. And onwards and upwards. We look forward to collaborating again in the future.
Can't wait. I can't wait to see the rest of today. It's been such a great festival. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Have a good one.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye. Great, everyone. Well, thank you so much, Deborah. We really appreciate it. And I do encourage you to learn a little bit more about CoreSite research. And if you're interested, get involved with their AI Council. All right, coming up next, we have our very own Janice Wang in a deep conversation with Daniel Botte, the VP Global Inventory Management for Guess Europe, in a session titled How Guess Europe Got Inventory Under Control. It's a really interesting session. Daniel Botte joined Guess Europe in the pandemic. And really, this is a story about how he implemented an inventory system through centric planning, to unite his team together and really be more efficient. And here they are. Janice and Daniel, please join us on the 3 Tech Fest stage.
Proving to be a lifestyle powerhouse in North America, Paul Marciano understood the importance of launching the brand internationally. As the company set global goals and strategies, Paul understood that in order to be successful in any particular market, the mindset of think global, act local had to be the underlying principle. Looking back at 35 years of success and expansion, many may wonder what the future holds for Guess. Although the company continues to expand globally, many countries and territories remain uncharted. The vision is clear. The company goals are to expand in new emerging markets with a strong focus on Russia, Turkey, Northern Europe, China, and Japan. The growth opportunities for Guess are everywhere.
Oh, I'm really looking forward to our little Hi, Daniel. It's so nice to see you.
Hi, Janice.
Oh, I'm really looking forward to our little discussion again because, I think that a lot of people will learn actually what coming from kind of executive management, what the things that you actually really value and what you think about when it comes to technology implementation. But before we go there, I'd like to start and ask you just to explain to the audience who is Guess. we've seen a video about your company, but maybe you can explain a little bit about where you are and where you came from.
Okay, thank you, Janice. I'm happy to be here. Well, I guess many people will know the brand is an iconic brand founded by the Marciano brothers in the 80s, in 1981 in Los Angeles. And it started like basically a denim company. So they were famous for the stone wash that they start applying to the jeans, and very successfully, and also t-shirts. So was a very denim and t-shirts kind of company with very iconic images. So all the pictures were very famous. All top models were there. So very successful during the 90s and also beginning of the 2000s. And now we are, I mean, more a global company, so we have a big presence in Europe, and we are changing our strategy to be more elevated in terms of products. So we moved from this casual denim to a more elevated and sophisticated kind of lady and man, and also kids. We cover a lot of. I mean, we are a lifestyle brand now, so we cover 25 different categories, all genders, in different markets, with now 1,600 stores around the world. And again, and keep improving our product quality and offering and design. Of course, keeping this essence and DNA, but in a more, let's say, elevated way to capture different kind of customer.
And 1,600 stores is a very different kind of thing than maybe 5 stores in LA, right? It's
Yes.
I mean, what's the SKU count at this point? Maybe 8,000? 8,000?
It's
more?
No, 8,000 a season, and we have around 4 seasons a year. So it's more than 35,000 SKUs a year that we manage. So yeah, big volumes and big complexity in a way by the different assortment that we have.
Right. So, I mean, I guess when you went from small assortments of very evergreen type of product, and then we got you to this like very complex 25 category type of, what kind of categories? Eyewear also, and
Yeah, I mean, from apparel, I mean, you name it. Of course, denim pants are still there, and t-shirts, but now we have a lot of dresses, outerwear, sweaters, I mean, everything, skirts, shorts, but then also accessories. We're very strong in handbags and all kind of peripherals, small accessories like wallets and key rings, then watches, eyewear, shoes, perfume, home. We have candles, we have blankets.
right.
Again, everything we can imagine, we have it. So yeah, complexity is part of that, of course. I mean, as you say, when you move from a few categories, few SKUs, few stores to a much wider offering, more stores and markets, of course complexity comes with it. And our focus is try to keep this complexity under control and manage that.
And
to
so
don't create our sorry.
And so when you first got to Guess, right, this complexity was controlled by what?
By spreadsheets, basically, by Excel sheets. Yeah, I was pretty shocked when I joined, because when I saw all the teams working in spreadsheets and managing all this number of SKUs and stores and different markets. I mean, I was shocked at the beginning, and then I completely, focus on implementing technology and solutions to allow, this complexity to be managed in the most effective way.
So I'm assuming that this is, you decided that you were going to choose, you looked at the whole system, all of these spreadsheets, what anybody was doing. And, I take it, because we know that you've actually done quite a lot of work with Centric.
Yes.
And, part of that, what does that allow you to do now that you're part of this that you've actually gotten a system in place?
So, I mean, again, as I say, I see technology as an enabler for things that you could, I mean, for sure you can do things more efficiently and, release workload from the people, but then you can do new things you couldn't do without it. And for example, we have, again, business in North America, but also in Europe, and Europe performing very well, and also in Asia, in China, and in Japan, in Korea. And of course, every market is different and they have different needs, different customer tastes and trends, and we have a global collection. So how we manage this customization by market or region while keeping a core assortment and consistency with our brand, I mean, for that, we need to get input from the market. I mean, we have people in the market, we have what we call country merchants that they give us, their needs, and they customize their assortment in a way. And again, we received all these requests and information in real time. So while we do the buy, so we receive all these inputs so we can rebalance and buy accordingly, calculating the right units that we need for each product SKU, and allowing this personalization of the assortment by region that we couldn't do. I mean, it was taking weeks, to receive all the data in the spreadsheet and try to consolidate everything and then do the buy. So, I mean, it would be impossible to do with our timeline. So now, I mean, one of the biggest improvements of having these technologies that we can customize the assortment by region, market, and country. So it's a big change.
I mean, it's a big change, right? Because for the first time, you actually can see all transparently what is going where and where is everything, and why are these things important. Partially is also, I mean, let's go back to the idea of size, right? The size assortment in these different places are going to be extremely different.
Absolutely. I mean, personally, maybe in China or Japan, the bodies are different from people in Poland or Germany. And I mean, sizing is crucial, and also in fashion retail, the speed. The speed is you need to be fast, you need to react quickly, because I mean, as soon as you can change and see what's performing, what is not, and change the assortment, change the strategy, the more reactive you can be, you will be more successful.
Yes, and actually that's one of the things that actually happened, right? Is that I guess during the pandemic, there was like this excess part of inventory that was sitting everywhere. Nobody knew kind of how to move it around, how to get it to where it needed to go.
No, that's funny, because was during the pandemic that we started implementation of Centric. So was a time where everybody was trying to keep the money and not spending, because we were all scared about the future and the stores were closed. And this is exactly where we start with this solution, because I mean, I convinced our CEO that we needed visibility to react and move the inventory, for example, to the online channel that was the only one performing. And this helped us, again, navigate through the pandemic and keep our inventories in a good place, considering all the situation that we were living then.
Which is exactly actually, we have a lot at Alvaro. We have so many clients, right, as well. But actually, one of the things that is really interesting is when markets are really performing well, right?
Mm-hmm.
We tend not to try to rock boats too much. With our clients don't want to, and we don't want to either, right? So in certain years where there are like real booms, actually what you're doing is kind of tweaking strategies. But once you have this window of time where you can actually say, hey, I've got to stop, and I got to think about what things are out there and what things are happening that we need to future-proof certain things. And the pandemic for guests was an excellent resetting time, right?
It was. I mean, of course, it was tough for everybody,
Yes.
financially, and also, I mean, our lives were like completely, upside down. But again, biggest challenge bring biggest opportunities. And as you say, well, things go like in the, the new normal we called never happened, but in a normal way. I mean, you need to deliver, you need to, every quarter we need to report our results. So I mean, sometimes you don't have time to stop and think and do big changes. While, when you are under a situation like the pandemic, you have no option to really, take maybe brave decisions. I mean, you take big risks, but again, it's a good moment to do that as well when you have a big challenge in front of you, and you have no option but to rethink your processes and your tools, your tool set, and the solutions that you need. It was a good decision, a very good decision, in my opinion, what we did there.
And actually, I think as a world retail, kind of global retail, we're in that position again, right? Maybe not for Guess itself, but for I mean, because you might have done some of the work, actually, the infrastructure that you're laying in order to get like to the place where you are today. At least you have visibility, right? This is, I mean, the one of the things that we keep working with a lot of our clients is that when things are not that great, it's a great time to reset, because you want your brand to exist for another 20 years, don't you?
Exactly. And come stronger after. I mean, we were stronger now than what we were before the pandemic. Thanks to that, thanks to this, again, decisions we took to implement technology and solutions. So now, and again, challenges never stop. So now we have inflation, we have, all the consumers that are, concerned about their financials, and then we have all the supply chain disruptions again.
Yes.
So with the Red Sea crisis and all that. So, I mean, it's going to be another pandemic or whatever. I mean, it's just a matter of when, it's going to happen. So the more ready we are now to, take the new one in the best position, of course, it's a good decision, because you're always going to have challenges in front of you, and you never know when things are going to happen, but are going to happen for sure.
And that's actually kind of, I think, in the 20 something years. I mean, like you and I, we've both been in this industry for so long that we now like the gray hair showing, okay?
Yeah.
However, I mean, it's like never waste a good crisis, right? And I think one of that's the key things from an operational standpoint to work with, from an executive standpoint, you don't waste these times where we know that the cycle will come back again, and we better be ready for it. I mean,
exactly. I mean, and then, I mean, the more prepared you are, I mean, at the end of the day, you need to have the best people, the best team you can have, of course, the best team possible. But then also you need to connect them and to align them, to make them work together and aligned, okay? And also is where technology plays a big role here, because it allows us to have everybody on the same direction, especially, again, when times are easy, okay, a calm sea never make a good sailor, right? But,
yes.
but okay, you go and things more or less go well. Then when the storm is coming is where you don't have time to think. So everything needs to be like, in the boat. Everybody needs to know exactly what they need to do, the direction we're going, and avoid, one going to the left, the other going to the right, and this is where things get really, really bad. So be ready for the storm is my suggestion, because it's going to happen, and then you don't have time. So the more prepared you can be up front, the more, let's say, the better you can go out of it.
Right. I mean, like, so now that you've put quite a few things in place to be in a good position to actually weather this oncoming onslaught, right? And it is an onslaught. I mean, let's be frank about it. No, if companies are having earning calls where it's just marginally down, we're already all very happy. Okay.
Yes,
But
yes.
also, from that, actually, you actually, before you got there, you had to implement all of these things. And so I kind of would like to ask you, what are the kind of things that you would tell people to think about when they start to implement these types of strategies into their operational things? I mean, the centric implementation was a huge implementation because it's actually a business process implementation, right? So
It is, and I can say I'm very happy with how it was. I mean, we were very fast. I mean, we went live in 3 months for the merchandise planning module, the first module in 3 months from when we signed the contract to we went live. So it was an amazing achievement. And again, during the pandemic, so we were all working from home. And maybe my suggestion for an implementation is, first of all, try to keep the solution as standard as possible. I mean, try not to customize too much because we all want customization. And again, every company I've been is like, no, but you see, we are different. We need this in this different way than the others. And we all trying to do that. But at the end of the day, it comes with a cost because I mean, every upgrade of the tool or the solution, every change, you need to consider all this customization. It's taking more time, and then you can create something. I mean, you can bring this complexity, your own complexity, to the solution, and it's the worst thing you can do in my view. So you will try to keep as simple as possible and as standard as possible to implement fast, and then I mean, it's better if you rethink your processes, because maybe you discover better ways to do what you try to do than try to change the tool to adapt to your current processes. So this is my first recommendation. Second one would be try to go live as soon as possible. So try to find a minimum viable product that can allow you to test the tool and to work with it instead of waiting for it to be perfect and cover all your needs, because there are several benefits from that. The number one is that your team is going to be engaged because they are going to see the benefits of using the tool, less workload, more efficient, again, information real time, whatever. So change management is going to be your biggest challenge in an implementation, more than the technical side, more than the IT stuff. Is always people the most challenging part. So this is number one, and then also you can test and fix errors as you go at an earlier stage, so you can detect things that don't work and fix it quickly. And then also you can get benefits from the tool. You can get some payback that can make your CFO and CEO happier and give you more money to continue with implementation, for example. So start soon, as soon as you can, even with a small, part of the solution. And then, of course, find a good partner, not only a vendor that sells software, but a partner that can, help you, again, rethink your processes and challenge you in a way, and having a good PMO to manage the implementation are maybe the three things that I would recommend.
So if I recap, then it's actually, simplify. Please do not complicate things.
Exactly. Don't add more complexity than the one that is part of your business model.
Yeah. And then to start as soon as possible. And
Yes.
really, 3, bring people on board. So, but it's actually kind of funny because I think that applies everywhere, right? It applies to every tool, to every industry, to every, organization that you have. And, as an executive leader, right? You can tell.
I agree. I mean, as leaders, yeah, I completely agree with you. I mean, again, our biggest, maybe the most important thing we need to do is try to keep things as simple as possible, to reduce complexity in the organization, in whatever we do, in any sector or any industry, or and not bring our own complexity to the to the real one that it's part of everything. So try to simplify as much as possible. Try to engage people. and also get them again aligned and connected, and as much as informed as possible about everything. And yeah, and then go fast. I mean, the sooner the better. You are prepared for, again, the next storm that is coming for sure, and you don't know when. So yeah.
I completely agree with you, because the thing is that, I mean, one of the things that I find in any company that we go work with, people have great intentions. Everybody wants to do well for the company that they're working with. And I really, for the community who is listening to this conversation, if they're even listening to this conversation, you know that they're trying to actually constantly learn and be better, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I know that the intention is usually true, but what I think we get hung up on, especially when a lot of middle management and kind of people who are looking at what they want to do well, we get tripped up sometimes by wanting to be perfect and letting perfect be like perfect is kind of pointless, because things are going to constantly evolve, right?
Exactly. So what is perfect now is not going to be perfect tomorrow. And first of all, perfection, I always tell my teams, never exists, because you can always do better in a way. But then also, good soon sometimes is better than perfect later, because again,
Yes.
especially again in the fashion retail industry, I mean, time is crucial. So if you wait to be perfect, and then you are losing, I don't know, a trend, a season, everything. I mean, you never recover that. So good
And
soon is better than perfect later, in my view. Here, I agree.
exactly. And customers know. Customers
Exactly.
absolutely can see it.
Exactly.
So,
Exactly.
and so, I mean, with that, I just want to thank you for your time, because, you know, we know you're busy. We know actually you've got the entire global inventory under you, and also there's an acquisition, right? Guess it's just acquired.
That, we acquire Rack and Bone, and now again we're doing the same here. So we're putting the teams together,
Yes.
Rack and Bone team with the guest team. I mean, I'm very happy. We work very well together since day one, and now again we are trying to implement our solutions with their solutions, so to create a common infrastructure that works for the platform. And yeah, it's exciting. Yeah, very busy times, but good things ahead. And again, we try to be ready for what's coming, and try to be again out stronger thanks to that.
And it's common infrastructure, as you said, right?
Yes,
Common infrastructure. We are more alike than different.
I mean, you see, when you acquire a company, then you also acquire complexity again. I mean, so it's like, hey, we have different tools, different systems, different processes, different, I don't know, codification of the product. So now our part of the work here is to try to homogenize and standardize between the two companies, again, to avoid this extra complexity of having two different organizations working together.
Yeah. And so, I mean, what will happen is that with this kind of standardization or kind of simplification of all of the processes, later on, when you bring in like other things to help assess these things, analysis and analysis in about a year's time, right? There will be like everything that everybody's talking about out there, like AI this, AI that. You have to have a good basis in order to do all these things beforehand, right?
Absolutely. I mean, for example, having a good data is something that you need for AI models. I mean, trash in, trash out, right? So, and for this, you need to simplify, you need to standardize and homogenize processes and databases and everything to allow this technology to bring good results. Because if not, you can have the best algorithms in the world, that if your data is not right, you're not going to get a good outcome. So so we are preparing for that. And then also we have more acquisitions, so at least we have a base now of things that we know they work. to acquire new ones and without big disruption.
Well, we're going to be very excited to see what happens in the next year with Guess and all of the I'm sure we'll be talking a little bit maybe in a year and a half about
Yeah.
how things have gone. But I from from our point, it's been wonderful working with you on various kind of issues that you've been so open to talking to this community, and we'd like to thank you very much for your time.
Thank you. Thanks to you, Janice. Thank you to everybody. And it's been a pleasure as usual. And yeah, we keep in touch for sure and talking.
Great. Bye.
Bye bye. Thank you.
Wow. Wow, what an incredible conversation. Thank you so much, Daniel and Janice, for a deeply insightful conversation. I mean, perfect is pointless and people have good intentions, incredible. And those 3 takeaways to simplify, start as soon as possible, and bring people with you. It's keys to change management, like not only in our industry, in the fashion industry, but like across the world. And across industries. So that's so exciting. Yeah, exactly. Thank you, Matt. Agreed. All right, we're going to keep us moving along today. And it is now my pleasure to introduce Eric Lee, who is Executive Director of the Americas for Alphanon. And Eric's going to give us a talk about solving e-com headaches, the promise of sizing and fit. So we all know part of why you're here probably is that we understand that e-com is packed with challenges, from excess inventory to returns and stuff like that. But Eric is here to talk about a little bit about how product and fit teams might just be the key to solving these headaches. By rethinking sizing and fit, we can absolutely cut down returns and bolster customer satisfaction, all while just driving sustainable growth. But it'd be better if you heard it from him. So I'm happy to welcome Eric to the stage. Hey, Eric.
Hi, Brooke.
You there? Amazing. Take it
Can you
away.
hear me?
I can.
Great.
You sound great.
Perfect. I'm super excited to be here, and thanks everyone for tuning in. I'm just going to spend the next 10 minutes talking about how we as an apparel industry have this enormous opportunity to improve e-com performance. And to do that, what we have to do is really better understand our customers, in particular when it comes to sizing and fit. When I'm done, I'm hoping you'll have a little bit of a better understanding of just how important it is for our e-com teams and our product teams to connect and share information. So first, a quick little intro about me. I actually started my career off in financial services before switching to apparel. In 2011, I worked with international brands entering the Chinese market, and I was looking after their marketing and e-com programs. Then in 2017, I made a switch and started working with brands to get digital product creation programs off the ground. And then last year, I switched again. I moved to Alphanon, and I'm working with apparel brands to solve sizing and fit challenges. So I've really had the opportunity to work up, down, and across departments of these apparel organizations. And I've really gotten a sense of how siloed we all can be. And conversely, I think I've been able to see where we can have huge wins by working cross-functionally. So to get straight to the point, I want to zoom in on e-com and what's important to an e-com operating team. And you can usually boil down most e-com metrics to be about just 3 things. Number 1 is revenue, obviously. So how much you sell. Number 2 is going to be inventory, what you have to sell, and what you have to sell maybe, which of course is going to affect markdown and marketing tactics, etc. And finally, number 3 is going to be returns. And that really wasn't a thing brands worried about so much before apparel e-com came around. And guess what? When you buy something online, you don't get to try it on before you buy. And I'm going to focus right now specifically on this returns piece to illustrate how, with better communication between teams like e-com and product design, we can really begin to solve a really big issue. Namely, there's information out there that the customer-facing digital teams have access to that really needs to be traveling to the people creating the product. So talking returns, let's take this data point. It's from 2019, and it's 53% of all online apparel returns were due to size and fit. Or in other words, you liked what you saw online, so you bought it. But when you got it in the mail, you said, hey, it doesn't really look the way on me it looked on the model, right? That means more than half the time people don't keep something because it's an issue of sizing or fit. So if you put your shopper hat on, you know this checks out. And by the way, if you're in the chat, why don't you please post some comments if you agree or disagree with that statement that size and fit are generally the most common reason you return clothes online. Well, the industry knew it was a problem too, because e-com business boomed from the COVID years on. Back in 2019, when everyone started staying home more, our industry as a whole introduced and actually doubled down on all kinds of different solves for returns. So we had better reviews. Who doesn't check reviews before you buy, right? We know social proof is super important. A lot of reviews now feature the user's size and fit comments. You've seen reviews where you'll even see the user list their height, weight, and the size they bought, so you can kind of have a frame of reference. So super useful. Size charts. We've all become amateur tailors, and when I go to IKEA, I definitely pick up a few of those extra, the free paper measuring tapes, and better model photos. Sometimes we do extra photo shoots to capture different models and body types. Over here we have Angelina. She's 5'11" and wears a size 4. Fantastic. She's got like Angelina Jolie's body. And of course, we have the size predictors. Amazing. You enter your stats, you get a size. And again, it's more ways to match a customer to their best size for this particular product you're browsing. So it's all great steps in the right direction to solve this returns issue we're dealing with. And we went from 5 years ago with 53% of returns due to poor fit or size to now today 58% due to the same reason. So it went up. But guess what? The apparel product being returned actually went up as well. So it's even more returns due to sizing or fit. So while we're trying to do a lot of different solves, I think it's fair to say it's still very much a work in progress. And what you're seeing here is that a lot of the ways we're trying to solve returns are band-aids. And if you put your shopper hat on again for me, haven't we all bought from a brand where we're super happy with the fit of a shirt, but it turns out you have to buy a different size in a different product type like sweaters? In the chat, if you would, please let me know if that's the case. You had to buy different sizes for different products for even the same brand. Now, if we're having the customer figure out their size in different products, instead of making our products all fit the same customer and consistently, we're kind of playing whack-a-mole and not solving the real issue at hand. So firstly, let's make sure our sizing is consistent so the shoppers who fit a size medium shirt can keep buying medium, not only in shirts, but in sweaters and in jackets and in dresses and so on and so forth. And that would obviously be a great starting point. By the way, if you didn't check out, I think it was Bershka yesterday had this really awesome session. They made a ton of progress standardizing their sizing and implementing a size set. And they were able to drop returns, I think it was 10%. So it was really great. Go back and give it a listen if you're interested. And to continue, the answer really is, again, we need to know our customer. And I mean, really actually know our customer. Why are they returning the stuff? So again, put your shopper hat on for me. When you go return something, you usually get a screen like this asking why you didn't like it. And if you're like me or you're like most customers, you're clicking the easiest answer or the first answer so you can just get straight to that return shipping label. I would say that return reason is pretty unreliable. But let's take a big leap of faith, let's say for a second, and assume that the feedback is actually reliable and the shopper is thoughtful filling out this return reason, which we know isn't the case. But if we find a particular product keeps coming up as, let's say, too big, what does that tell you? Does too big mean it's too long or too wide? Is it because the sizing was inconsistent and you needed to buy a smaller size? The problem with too big is no one really knows what to do with it. It's not actionable and it doesn't teach me anything about this shopper. So what I'm really trying to say is often there's a disconnect between the teams from the product to the marketing to the selling. So think product creators use a fit model or a fit form that represents the customer's body. And fantastic. The dress gets made for that body. Then they get a photo sample and they put it on a photo shooting model. And this is our photo shoot team now, right? By the way, remember that photo shoot with the model in the dress, Angelina? She was 5'11" and a size 4. And the dress fits like a glove, right? Well, let me tell you, when I worked in e-com and I managed model photo sessions, we did whatever it took to make the product look amazing. Even if that meant pinning the dress in the back to make a regular fitting dress look like a form-fitting one. The objective for that team is to make sure the dress is as attractive as possible to get the shopper to put the item into the cart. So of course, the shopper sees this beautiful form-fitting dress on that tall, skinny model. Shopper, she uses all the e-com tools we talked about earlier, finds her size and places the order. 3 days later, dress arrives. She tries it on, turns out, surprise, it doesn't look on her the way it looked on the model, right? So she returns it, sends the feedback, too big to get the shipping label. And then what does the e-com do now that all the dresses are being returned? Of course, they're going to discount the dresses. So now we have too much dress inventory for the quarter. I've been in those e-com meetings, and when the e-com operating team sees that dress sales are down and dress inventories are up, the response is, let's put a discount to rid that inventory, or something like a promo, a gift with purchase, so we can sell more dresses, buy two. So it's really actually more whack-a-mole, and it's not that team's fault. The levers at that team's disposal as an e-com team is discount and promotion typically. And I'll admit, even when I was an e-com operator, that's how I behaved. So all of that is to say, we work in silos. And I still find this situation to be the case today with the brands that we work with. So the question is, how do we solve it? And the answer really is we have to work together. We have to address having this feedback loop. We need to create a system that allows the customer-facing teams, like the e-com team, to actually collect actionable information, and then share that actionable information to the people making the stuff. So ask yourselves the questions, is our sizing consistent in the first place? Is it standardized across categories? Do we even have a size set? If yes, great, you're on a great start. Now, what is the customer telling us? Turns out, based on the info we gather from these customers, our medium should, have a wider hip, or our customer is taller than we thought. So let's consider a tall size set. How do you start? E-com teams and product teams align on metrics together, actually. So what kind of feedback are you gathering from customers in the first place? Is it reliable? Is it actionable? And if it's not, we have to get it there, right? Once it is, e-com teams, you have to share that info with the product teams. So product teams, you can help e-com by defining the data that's useful and, again, actionable for you. So all of that is to say, this communication creates this huge opportunity for our teams to work together, both across categories of different product types and across functions like the e-com team and the tech design team. And by doing so, we could really solve some big, hairy problems like returns and other things. So get the right products to the right people, sell more, and waste less. That's it for me. By the way, quick shameless plug, if you know Alvanon, chances are your tech design teams are already working with us on sizing. We actually have a solution coming out that'll work with your e-com team. It's going to help you gather actionable body data about the shape of your customer's body. And I can tell you it's going to be wicked. If you're interested in that or anything that I talked about in this past 10 minutes, I'd really love to talk to you. Here's my contact info. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Eric. That was really, really, really good. No, I really enjoyed it. I really appreciate sort of, just taking us through the e-commerce pipeline, if we will. There's so many different teams that have to touch product before it goes on to, websites. And a lot of them, to your point, work in silos. But it's nice to see that, everyone's just sort of doing their job. But I think it's about connecting all the dots. And our next panel is going to dive a little bit deeper into that. So thank you, Eric. All right. Thank you so much. Give me 1 second here. All right. Coming up next, we are diving into this topic a little bit further and into the cutting edge of virtual fit and sizing tools that are transforming fashion. As customers demand more personalized and accurate sizing, as we heard from Eric, these tools are becoming a game changer for brands, helping reduce returns and offer more inclusive sizing. Our expert panel will explore advancements in 3D body scanning, AI-powered sizing recommendations, and virtual try-ons. Technologies that not only improve fit, but also reduce the environmental impact. Now let's get ready to hear from the leaders driving these exciting, updates and evolutions. And so, Brooke, are they here? All right, so we have Eric, Barbara, Shannon, and Jay. Great. All right, Eric, I believe you're moderating this panel, so I'll let you take it from here.
Thanks, all. Hey, it's me again. I'm Eric from Alvin. Here to moderate. We've got an awesome panel of experts talking about virtual fit and sizing tools, which are totally reshaping the industry. We know customers expect more personalized and accurate sizing, and the tools being introduced are becoming essential for the brands that we work with who aim not only to improve the shopping experience, but to reduce and optimize the products that we're making. So without further ado, let's get to know our panelists. Shannon, can we start with you?
Yeah, absolutely. Hi, everyone. My name is Shannon North. I am the Assistant Professor of Fashion Technology at Belmont University. I started Belmont this year after retiring from a 25-year career in the industry, where I implemented 3D with VF Corporation. And I also launched the Work Fitter tool with my work with Couture Technologies and Workwear Outfitters, which is a virtual fit solution. And I also offer my services for those companies that are looking to implement 3D within the organization or virtual fit tools on their brand site. So thank you so much for having me, Eric.
Awesome. Thank you. Thanks for being here. Barbara, we'll go with you next.
Hi, I'm Barbara Burr. I'm the Senior Vice President of Global Sourcing for Destination XL. DXL is one of the largest big and tall men's retailer in the country with just about 300 stores. So, and I think we have a little video actually that we can showcase the brand. Awesome.
Great. And last but not least, we have Jay.
Hi. Nice to see everyone. I'm very honored to be here. Thank you, Eric. My name is Jay Rudman. I'm a CEO of SizeStream. SizeStream provides a scan-to-factory platform that we call FormCut, and it enables brands and retailers interested in capturing 3D bodies digitally and then using that body data for both made-to-measure clothing as well as ready-to-wear size recommendations. I'm honored to be here and working and talking alongside one of our premier clients, which is DXL. So looking forward to the conversation.
Fantastic. And thank you guys for spending some time with us. Let's get right to the first topic. The concept of virtual try-on has been a holy grail concept since we started this whole e-com thing. But in the absence of a great virtual try-on solution up to this point, we've gone to a lot of other solutions to bridge the gap. So tell me, what are the primary challenges that brands face when integrating these fit tools into their e-com platforms? Shannon, can we start with you?
Yeah, absolutely. So websites really need to integrate the tools to be used easily by the customer. And we want to engage the customer. We don't want to frustrate them. We don't want them to have all these steps and then additional surveys. And the right interaction will create a higher conversion rate and higher brand loyalty. And the brands that will win will have a fun experience waiting for their customers.
I would agree. Barbara, can you follow up?
Sure. So Destination XL has partnered with SizeStream to create a tool for size recommendation as well as to offer custom clothing to our guests. So with SizeStream's technology, we're able to scan our guest and capture 242 points of measurement and then map him into its correct sizing. I think some of the challenges that brands face is really surrounded about like with change management. And I think I heard somebody on the panel before us talking about change management. I think it's change management, it's time, and it's also investment. So really getting the alignment across your entire organization to get behind the tool and allow you the time to set the tool up, to test it, make sure it's accurate, and then really go to market. So.
And Jay.
Yeah, I concur exactly with what Shannon and Barbara has said, right? There are a lot of challenges associated with incorporating tooling and systems and platforms for virtual fit. So you do definitely need coordination across the entire organization. In addition, a single component is not going to solve the problem. You need the entirety of a platform. That platform needs to do everything from, virtual fit, made to measure, size recommendation, integration with point of sale, integration with inventory systems, et cetera. So really the entirety of the platform is required. And if you're looking for kind of just a single component, I think that will be very difficult trying to work with, some of the bigger brands and bigger retailers out there.
Thank you. And I would agree and actually add on that we get a ton of data from these tools, and another big challenge, or another I'd say big opportunity, is what do we as brands do with all that data? How do you synthesize it, and what do you do with it? What does that mean for actions and changes you can make coming? Moving on, in your view, how have these new fit and sizing tools evolved in recent years, and what are the key advancements driving the change? Barbara, let's start with you.
Sure. So we started collaborating with SizeStream about 5 years ago. Okay. And the collaboration started, the team said, SizeStream said to me, Barbara, let us give you a stand-up booth scanner to start with and start testing that. Okay. So we had this big stand-up booth scanner in our office, and we started using it. It was pretty good. Okay. But today, now it's an iPad that's attached to our to our fitting room wall. It has the ability to scan a guest that's up to 7'7" at any width. So it really is really amazing with the accuracy of the tool, with the size recommendation, because our guests are big and tall, and they're all shapes and sizes. So it's really important for us to have the accuracy that SizeStream is able to give us from their platform.
Jay, anything to add to that?
Yeah, no, I think Barbara said it very well. The evolution from booth scanners to mobile scanning has just unlocked potential for in-store, for at home, and really makes it accessible for all body shapes and sizes, right? The big and tall, the short and skinny, the men and women. It really has to be inclusive if we're going to ensure that we can provide sizing recommendations for anyone and everyone. The other big evolution that's occurred is that there's been a lot of agreement in the industry as to what the primary systems are out there. A good example is Shopify on the e-com side. It's just one example, but a good one nonetheless. So integrating with things like Shopify are absolutely critical, and that evolution didn't occur until there was a agreement in the industry as to what those common platforms are. And then lastly, I'll say is that the user has to be very comfortable with these systems, right? User friction could prevent these systems from being widely used. And so user behavior and acceptance around sizing tools has increased and evolved positively. This includes everything from, what is proper scanware to proper pose guidance to even using a mobile app for scanning as a complementary app to, maybe something that's occurring on the web browser. So I think all those things over time have evolved and certainly made this a much more positive experience for both the user as well as, the clients.
Just to go on top of Jay, we have this scan, we have the tool in 12 of our stores, and the success that we've seen from it with engaging with our guests. We are now rolling it out to an additional 13 this year, and we have plans to open it up to 100 doors, as well as we're starting our mobile application, which will be ready at the beginning of next year. So we're fully invested in this technology.
That's phenomenal. That's good to hear. Pivoting to, actually the hottest topic out there, AI. We've all heard about the potential impact of AI and all the possibilities that can be unlocked. Are there any practical applications you've seen already being realized? Shannon, would you start?
Yeah, absolutely. So we've been using AI for a really long time in your data analytics, and body data is one phenomenal way to use that AI. We use algorithm-based learning models, and it's a great opportunity to improve how garments fit and how garments are worn. We understand the multitude of body types, and that provides our pattern makers insight to how best fit those bodies. So we're using these analytics to drive decisions, to improve fit, to understand the regional differences of how products are made, worn, what those bodies are in those different regions. And then the beautiful thing about collecting all this body data in a non-invasive way as a whole, if you will, is understanding how the body continues to evolve and how we can best fit those bodies. Because at the end of the day, we're still trying to make a garment that fits the most people. And that's the most sustainable way of doing that as well. And so using AI to our advantage in a practical way, in a non-invasive or hurtful way, is all about the analytics and then how we make the decisions to inform our patterns, everything to make that product better for the customer is the ultimate goal.
And Jay, I think you had something to add.
Oh, absolutely. I agree with Shannon wholeheartedly that AI is the hot topic out there, but like Shannon, we've been using it for a long, long time. I mean, all of our measurements are predicated on AI and ML models. Our sizing recommendation works off of that. Even our 3D body avatars that are created through, the data collection mechanisms that we use. Again, all AI and all ML. But what's interesting is what's around the corner, where AI and ML is taking us. For example, I spoke of just a moment ago about how user friction can be high to try to capture body sizing. And so to make that easier, we've determined that wouldn't it be great if we could scan over clothing? So not even require an individual to get into scan attire. And that is a research project that is showing a lot of fruitful outcomes. Not commercial yet, but excited about that. We've also done things like video rather than photo. So someone walking into a fitting room rather than having to stand still in a particular pose detector. So all those things can and are enabled through AI and ML. And then there's the last thing I'll say is that it'd be really interesting as this industry continues to evolve, that once you capture body, can retailers and brands use that for other reasons? For example, what would happen if that individual loses, 25 pounds or gains 25 pounds? What would clothing look like on them, given those body shape changes? And we have a technique called Future Me that allows an individual to actually see what their body shape would look like. And then you could eventually drape that with clothing and, give individuals a better appreciation of that.
So you're saying we have to work out to make sure that we stay in shape and will evolve accordingly?
Absolutely, Eric.
And we've talked a lot about technology up to this point. I want to shift focus a little bit and talk about impact to consumer, both the end user shopper as well as the impact to the brand or retailer. How are sizing tools improving the overall shopping experience? For the B2C perspective, Barbara, I'd like to go to you.
Sure. So we're finding that we've scanned a little over 7,000 guests so far, and we see that number going up very quickly in the next year. But from those 7,000 guests, we've noticed that we have a much higher retention rate, more frequency of shopping with us. We're starting to, also really they're a higher AOV guest, so they have a higher value. It's engaging with a younger guest. Typically our average guest was between like 50 and 55 years old. We're engaging with guests on those 7,000 guests of 42 years of age. So it's really it's a cool experience, so it's engaging with that younger guest. It's creating an experience when they come into the store. When you show them the tool and you guide them into the fit room and you scan them and then you show them their recommended sizing, they're pretty blown away. There's also with our guests, they tend to have anxiety around somebody trying to measure them, right? It's very invasive. So this is a way to, contactless measuring, put them into the fit room, give them this great experience, show them what the technology can do, and then let them shop, and then they can take that home and they can shop online. So.
Thanks for sharing the B2C experience. And I'd like to also shift over to the B2B implications. Shannon, can you help us there?
Yeah, absolutely. So in our B2B business models, we outfit a lot of uniform customers. And what that entails is a sales rep taking a huge size run on location to get a bunch of people, employees in to try on the same exact clothes, and then may or may not get the right size out of that. So the virtual fit solution, so WorkFitter, we're able to, with the employees' phones, they can just scan themselves and then have their size recommendation right there. They can also tell us their preference of, do they want it to be a size larger? Maybe they work in a cooler environment, so they have to have maybe a hoodie under their shirt. And so we can make those accommodations based on their preference. And we've actually seen, as we've been trialing this new technology in the past, employees come in and they're like, this is dope. And it's so funny. I mean, they're so engaged and they have a higher engagement with their employer and they take pride in their company. And that's really cool that we can be a part of that experience with them through these virtual tools. So it's a really great solution where we're seeing building that loyalty with the customers and wearer, and then also, of course, us with our customers that are using the tools.
Amazing. And I just want to add on, Albanon, we've been working on a tool that's also going to help capture customer body information and transmit that information in an actionable way back to the teams creating the product, so they can see if they're even missing a size or if their current sizing needs to be adjusted. So there's just a ton of, I think, possibilities out there that we can do with the technology that's coming available. As a follow-up, how can these tools be optimized to provide a more realistic and, let's say, a satisfying shopping experience for customers? Barbara, we'll start with you again.
Sure. So I think that a better shopping experience is really, when you have their body data, you can create their fit profile. Okay. So that allows them to have that true omni experience, whether they want to come into the store or they want to shop at home or shop on their phone. They can pull up their size profile and they have their recommended sizing. We have size recommendation for 4 of our private label brands to start with. We're now adding 15 additional exclusive brands that we carry in our stores. So we're really starting to expand the tool across all brands that we carry in our stores. So they have, the ability to understand what size they should wear in whatever brand they want. So, because every brand has different size and specs. So, it's a convenience. And it's a better experience overall.
Very cool. Jay, something to add?
Oh yeah, no, just to build on exactly what you just said, Eric and Barbara, like the key is, consumer satisfaction. So
Right.
that's what we're driving towards. And to be satisfied, we're looking for a single scan and being able to do size recommendations across all brands. Like an individual wants to basically own the scan and be able to use it in a seamless and frictionless way across all brands. And that's really where satisfaction is going to start to spike. In addition, because the small, medium, large, world isn't really as inclusive for all the various body types and shapes that we're seeing out there. The satisfaction again will increase if we can create clothing that meets these inclusive sizes. To Eric's point, if we can identify alongside DXL that they might have a hole in one of their sizing charts, or in the sizes that they offer to their customers, to their guests, that is very insightful. And you get that from all the data that the 7,000 scans or the 2 million scans we've done with others. You can really start to increase the availability of sizing, and again, that's just really going to help with that satisfaction. The last thing, and you kind of kicked off this whole conversation, Eric, with, we'd love to do virtual try-on and 3D avatar, and we know that there are plenty of folks that are out there chasing that market. Hasn't been widely accepted just yet. We can debate that point, but I think that eventually, when we get to creating those avatars and virtual try-on, I think again satisfaction will spike.
A lot of things coming.
Exactly.
So let's move on to what's coming up next. What emerging trends do you see in the sizing technology space that could, let's say, further revolutionize our industry? Shannon, we'll go with you.
Yeah, to build off what Jay was just speaking of, it's virtual try-on. We've actually, for the past 5 years, we've been working with Couture Technologies, and we've digitized our patterns so that it provides clothing for our avatars. And we create our avatars from clones from those body scans. So you hear a lot about digital twins, but I like to talk about our digital clones because these clones are the actual body measurements from the scans. Some platforms out there use a like body. And so they're like, okay, this person weighs this much, they're this tall, they kind of have these dimensions, they should fit into this size. But a clone is taking those actual dimensions of the body and matching it to the actual dimensions of that dim spec, of that pattern, and then combining those and mapping those to a size that's recommended. The next phase is now you have that avatar because you have all of those body dimensions. So you can create a true avatar from that person, and that's their avatar clone. Now you have the patterns that have been digitized and stitched digitally in a 3D software. You can now fit that virtual pattern onto that virtual avatar. And you can use the fit map technology that exists today. And that person can start to see their preferences. So they can see, okay, this is how this garment's going to fit on my digital avatar and my body. And I like to go down a size or I like to go up a size. How's that going to impact me and my avatar? And that takes a lot of work. It is very difficult. And it takes a lot of really smart people understanding the technology to make sure that it is, in fact, accurate. And we've had a team of 30 people on the workwear side, 30 people plus working on the Couture Technology side to really hone in on this, again, for 5 years. And we are implementing that into our tools and technology. We can do that because Workwear Outfitters owns the brands that are driving all of these needs. And then we can provide that to our customers. It is a lot of work. However, I see that the customer is going to continue to expect this. And it's just another layer and level of engagement that we can have with our customers and show that loyalty that, hey, we are doing the hard work so that we can provide the tools for you so that you can make the right decision and to solve this terrible problem that we've created with, fast fashion and just excess that's filling our landfills. So I think that we all have to be good stewards and do the right things and figure out the hard algorithms and make those decisions so that we can continue to move the fashion industry forward.
Okay, so audience, if you want to get on the virtual try-on bandwagon, which could be coming soon, get your digital garments up in order, and you need them in a full size set, right? Because you're going to have the digital garments across the whole range. So warning, you've been warned. Barbara, something to add?
Yeah, I think that it's coming. I think that, like Shannon said, it's, it has to become commercial. So, one of the reasons why we're gathering our customers' body data is so that we can create true avatars that represent the big and tall guy. Okay. Because they're all different shapes and sizes, especially when you go up the size range, they disperse their weight differently. So with the help of SizeStream, that's our next steps going forward in the future, to be able to have the guest to visualize the garments on their body. But it's in the future, we have thousands of styles, all different garments and thousands of styles. So, to do that is a very heavy lift, but I definitely think in the future it's going to be demanded by the guest for sure.
Right. And for our last question, kind of going riffing off of this, let's assume that these fit tools succeed within reason, right? How do you envision the future of these tools, assuming success, influence customer behavior and brand strategies, let's say in the next decade? Jay.
Yeah, certainly. So it's really interesting. Right now, the power is really in the brands and the retailers, right? They're the ones that are collecting this data and using this data to ensure that the customer, the user is finding the right sizing. We envision in the future, I don't know when that future will be, Eric. I'm not sure if it's 3 years, 5 years, 20 years, what, but really flipping that equation around where the consumer actually owns the sizing data. Consider it like in your wallet on your telephone, right? And we believe that that's important because then a consumer can walk into any store and basically share their body data with any retailer that's out there. And that's really empowering. A good example or a good analog is when you're going through the online shopping experience now and you get to, that paywall and you basically enter, using Apple Pay or Google Pay, it becomes a frictionless experience because you own that and you don't have to remember all your credit card numbers and you can just fly through that experience as quickly as possible. That would be really cool if the customer can do the same. So if I had to predict what the future will be, I think the power will be in the customer, the power will be in that body data, and it will be on their wallet and their telephone or somewhere like that. And they'll be able to engage with any retailer or brand out there and find the right size, because we know right size will will increase loyalty, and with loyalty, everyone wins.
Amazing. And Shannon, anything to add?
Yeah, that's awesome. And to build off of what Jay, we have not rehearsed this, so this is pretty phenomenal to be minded individuals. It's cool to be in the tribe, right?
Right.
But I kind of thought about this question of how awesome that you own your own data, but then this is a new way that we can socialize through media. And what is the ultimate gift? But hey, here's my avatar. Go buy me a form-fitting, whatever. So now we can not only share our avatars with ourselves, our body data, we own that, but I can give that to my mom because she's been, driving me nuts about buying a new shirt, or she can share with me, hey, I want that same shirt that you had on. Okay, give me your avatar and then I'll go get you one that fits as well. Or, it's just really cool. And it opens up this new way of sharing information, which also goes back to privacy and security, making sure that we hone all of those, preferences and needs for sure. But what a great ultimate personalized gift exchange. It's this Christmas season. Hey, here's my avatar. And we just kind of, I was listening to the radio. They were talking about a birthday gift, and the mom had sent the child sizes in the invitation, and there was this big hoopla about that. But now you just scan a QR code and there's the avatar. So it's a crazy age. I mean, it's pretty awesome to be living, now and a part of all this technology so that it helps each of us and helps each other. So yeah, thank you.
Fantastic. Folks, that's it for our prepared discussion. And I believe the audience has some questions of their own to ask us. So let's start some Q&A. Let's see. Does the scanning generate more guest loyalty, or is Destination XL scanning their most loyal guests?
Well, that's a good question. No, I think it's a little bit of both, but we're definitely engaging with a new guest and a younger guest. So, we have guests that are loyal to us, that shop with us all the time that have been scanned, but a lot, I would say probably half of them are new guests that are scanning with us and are shopping with us.
Next question. If someone gets scanned by the SizeStream platform at DXL, can that scan then be used at other stores that use the same platform?
No. You have to stop with DXL. No, but we carry over 100 brands. We have our private label brands, but we also have brands that range from in big and tall sizes, from Ralph Lauren to Vineyard Vines, Psycho Bunny, Brooks Brothers. So it's specifically used to shop with DXL, and exclusive to DXL actually for the big and tall guy.
Next question. How about style recommendations for their body type?
Well, that's a good question. So we've been making a lot of developments as we have launched this tool, and getting their style preferences and their and because guys have different preferences, but where they wear their pants. So if it's under their belly or on their waist, where their leg break hits, all sorts of things. So we do take those into consideration, and that also goes into our fit logic. So one of the things that we did with SizeStream was in order to build the size recommendation, you have to build fit logic. Okay, so it's how we take our guest, our store associate fits the guest in the store, and interpret that to fit logic to recommend the correct sizing as well as specific styles. So like say if a guy likes a more tapered leg versus a fuller leg, we're able to do that.
And if I can build on Barbara's points, we've talked a lot about virtual fit and size recommendations under the assumption that we're really dealing with ready to wear. But as Shannon could probably attest as well, you can take these body measurements and work with made to measure clothing. And with made to measure clothing, through all the online configurators that are out there, and there's plenty of them, you can choose collar and cuffs and trims and buttons and sizes, and you can choose those preferences and alterations that are going to exactly meet the recommendation or the desire of the end customer. So one day, again, if you think about future evolution, we're going to probably eliminate a significant amount of inventory as we speed up production cycles, and we'll be able to do made to order items, in a very timely fashion. And it's a better cash conservation for clients like DXL and others.
Right. Yeah. So we are offering custom clothing through SizeStream. And I have to say it's, we have our ready to wear is a universal fit, right? But there are certain guests that we have that might have an extra large neck and a small chest, so custom does work for these guys, and some really, need custom clothing, or they just want it. And so we have over 50 swatches of shirt fabrics. We offer everything from, casual bottoms to dress pants, suits, sport coats, all custom. So it is a way to offer a guest to be able to build his own clothing, and choose the style preferences that he desires.
All right, next question. Is it important to pinpoint how far this tech may extend into other fields like health and sports and nutrition?
So that's a great question. We do have a lot of guests that are on weight loss journeys. They'll share their stories with me when I'm in the stores, and we fit with them. So this is a great tool where every time they scan, we capture their measurements, and they can look at it by date. So you can compare your measurements every day or every week or every month. So that's one of the things as we develop our mobile application that we're going to consider using in the future is a fitness tracker.
More questions. What phone apps can be used for body scans? And I know that there's actually quite a few out there, and it's not a matter of finding them necessarily. It is a matter of users being comfortable taking a scan with their phone. We did research, and there's a lot of research out there, and it was something like 80% of people were very wary of doing a scan from their phone, although it is very available. And more recent research says that the younger generation of shoppers, those kind of getting their first jobs right now, are far more willing to do so, upwards of 50%. If you want to know what phone apps are available, there's quite a few if you search for them online. I don't know if anyone on the panel wants to add that.
Yeah, the only point I would make, I'm sorry to jump in on that, Shannon, but Eric, is yes, there are plenty out there, and you go to any of the app stores, you'll find them. I think, and we could have talked about this when we talked about emerging technologies and AI and ML. I think scanning over clothing will certainly diminish user friction over time, because I think one of the hesitations is that people are concerned about photos of themselves in skin tight attire, because the better the clothing, or the tighter the clothing, the better the scan, the better the measurement, and the better the fit. But the other thing that I think we should all take into consideration is we probably as an industry have to do a better job of creating transparency about our privacy policies, about how this information is being used and what it's being used for and how it's not being used. And I think all the upstanding apps that are out there put that front and center. So I highly recommend your users go out there and, don't just accept, to actually read and see what these apps are doing with those photos.
Did you have something to add?
Yes. So, shameless plug for Couture Technologies. They have been an amazing partner with us. And something that I wanted to build on earlier as well is we've talked a lot about menswear. I come from the uniform industry, but Couture also is partnered with 3100 West. And that is, we haven't talked a lot about dresses in this conversation, but you can build your own bridesmaid dresses and a collection of those, because, just as big and tall men, they come in different, heights, sizes, shapes, and all, so do bridesmaids. And so this is a technology that the teams have been working together and created a solution for their end customers. And at the end of it, it's the collaboration between the brands, the customers, and then really listening to what those customers need to be able to fill those needs, and using technology to our advantage to be able to fill that gap. That's, if we're doing our jobs correctly, that's what the end goal should be.
I think we have time for just another one or two questions. Is anybody building a third-party digital fitting platform where both customers' data remains theirs, private, and the retailer's digital garments model stays proprietary? I'd regret not mentioning, and also a little bit of a plug, I'd mentioned Albanon's working on something where the customer is going to be able to build their own avatar. And if they're shopping at a brand that uses our size standard, or they have a full size set with Albanon, it would match the shopper's avatar against the closest digital to do the size recommendation, and then take that information back anonymously and help that brand build better product, sizes that they don't currently have in their range, et cetera. So I know there's some out there that are trying to do the same, but that's what we're working on. Anyone in the panel want to jump in on that?
Yeah, I think a lot of times the brands are who are driving it. So then the brands, of course, want to own the data to improve their products. But there are solutions that Couture is also looking at, so that that consumer can own their own information and then go shop from the brands, versus being told what they wear. They can choose what they wear.
Right. I think that's all the time we got. Brooke, hi.
Hey, incredible conversation, you guys. We really, really appreciate your insight. I actually had a curiosity for you all, if you don't mind me asking.
Mhm.
A lot of the stuff that you talked about today was about impact in a sort of theoretical sense based on customer satisfaction. It sounds like you both are doing things that are like in practice, right? And so I'm curious what these changes have meant for the business, because we can talk about returns in like a more theoretical sense, but I'm curious if there's any data that you can share or any insights in that regard for like maybe a brand that's considering playing with these tools,
Yeah. So, I'll share my perspective. At first, I think, in the beginning, when you're trying to get alignment and collaboration and you're starting to use the tool, and, once the alignment is there, and you show what the tool can do, it's pretty amazing. So we outfitted the University of Memphis football team Okay, we produced their custom suits to walk onto the field. Okay, we took the scanning system with SideStream down to the school. We scanned 120 athletes in 4.5 hours. We produced all of their suits, custom suits, within 3 weeks, and we had a 99% success rate. In that one transaction and that one day, we generated more sales dollars than probably one store would do in a week.
Yeah.
So that is the power of these tools. Okay. And once we were able to have some, proofs like that to show the business what it can actually do, everybody got behind it. And now it's like, how fast can we go? So it's pretty incredible.
That's amazing. Shannon, do you have a similar success story with workwear and couture, or?
Yeah, so we would go on site to our uniform. So, for example, one of our customers in New York, which I quoted earlier, usually it would take us a week to outfit a new customer in their new uniform, and we were able to do it in a day. And so, and just the interaction and the energy level from the participants and them not having to try on all these big coveralls and things is just a world of difference. So it's about the experience of the wearer, and then also the efficiency of using the tools to be able to produce that in a short time frame.
Incredible. Jay, I'm guessing that you have had similar successes maybe with other brands, but is there anything you want to call out in regards to that?
I think Barbara and Shannon did so adequately. So
incredible.
Yeah, no, they did a great job with it. So thank you.
Incredible. Yeah, I mean, the speed itself, right, is something that's so exciting because it would take stylists or tailors or whatever, like so much time to manually measure all of these people. You couldn't get through a football team in a day and fit them into things. That's not possible.
Well, and what's even, so if you go to one of our stores, we have 12 stores set up in the Northeast. Manhattan is one of them. So when we scan a guest, it takes less than a minute. It's like maybe 2 minutes. Okay. And within 2 minutes, we can pull up that guest size profile with all their measurements and what their recommended sizes are. So it's very fast and it's really powerful.
Yeah. Right. And the repeatability is critical, right? If you have, in Barbara's example or in Shannon's example, if you have 3 people measuring, they're all going to measure differently.
Right.
The neck, the waist, the bust, it's, where you measure, how much compression, what kind of tape you use, et cetera. So the consistency and the objectivity associated with digital scanning just eliminates all that bias.
That's so exciting. I'm honestly really excited to get to try it myself. I'm a 6 foot tall human, and so finding things that fit my body it's not easy. So I end up in coveralls, which is what I'm wearing today. All right. Well, thank you guys so much for your time. It's been an absolute pleasure having you. Or for our digital audience, if you want to tune into the chat, either some information about how to continue the conversation with Barbara, Jay, Shannon, and Eric. So yeah, everyone, thank you so much again for your insight.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right. So we're going to keep moving right along for the day. And up next, we have a very exciting conversation from a brand called Prairie Wear. I'm going to pull up my notes. So, okay, let's real talk for a moment. We've all been there in this point where you're rushing to take off uncomfortable clothing, or you're going through some sort of medical procedure or something, and you just can't find anything that fits right or feels right, and it's just icky. But Prairie Wear comes to the bra in a way that they're asking, what if it didn't have to be that way? So Holly Markwald, who's the CEO of Prairie Wear, along with Jill Coleman and Kayla Broderick from her team, are going to answer a few questions for us, discussing about what it might mean to reinvent a product like this. So I'd love to welcome Holly, Jill, and Kayla. Welcome, everyone.
Hi, welcome, Brooke. You are so good at transitions, by the way. I was watching you earlier today, and you've been so on point with introducing everybody and everything. Is just amazing. What a coordination event.
Oh, we really appreciate it. It's so good to have you all. I'm gonna just let you guys take it from here.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. I'm Holly. I'm the CEO here at Prairie Wear. We make versatile, sustainable compression bras that are really powered by science to be better for the body and better for the planet. And Kayla, I think your camera's off. We'd love to see you. So I was just going to welcome Jill and Kayla to join our conversation. We're all about collaboration and being able to bring questions from our entire team. And we are on different internet connections, so I'm sure Kayla will join us if and when she can, but we'll keep rolling. So I think with that, Jill, would you like to take a minute to introduce yourself?
Yes. Hi, I'm Jill Coleman. I am the Sales and Education Manager at Prairie Wear. I just want to thank Al-Anon, Brooke, and definitely Janice for including us on this wonderful Al-Anon 3D educational event. I look forward to it every year, and so I'm so excited and grateful the opportunity to share Prairie Wear, who I am now working with, and with Holly, and Kayla will jump back on, but Holly, maybe we just jump right into it,
Let's do it.
So, to me, I'm still like, amazes me how a non-apparel person like yourself came up with this compression bra that is the most comfortable bra. And personal note, I wear them all. How did you come up with this? Oh, wait.
Well, hey, Kayla. Yeah, so I think here at Prairie, we always start with the why. And the why is, first, what is your intention? What do you want to do with your business? And for us, it's help people feel better and get better, and do that in a way that's better for the planet. So all that is really lofty and huge. And how do you really distill that into a company that's ethos is helping people on the planet, right? And for us, it was like, gosh, well, what is this product? How can we create some positive impact? And all of these different opportunities were coming up. And with my experience with business, I really recognized the value of leveraging tech, bringing together incredible humans, and how to take an idea operationally to fruition, to the customer. So I had that in my wheelhouse. What I didn't have for Prairie Wear is, what's the absolute best thing that we could do with this company, and how can we help people the most? And that really led us down this path of learning about different knits and fabrics. And we were into apparel, which is not my industry. And learning so much, we were approached at one point with one of our technical designers whose sister is an oncological surgeon, who held up this tube top that was very, very, I'm going to say effectively made for a low price point. It was elastic. It was used for all bodies. It offered no coverage or support or compression. And she said, can you do better than this? And every time I say that, I always get chills, and I think the same thing. Yes, we totally can. And the way that we do that is through, again, our amazing team and 3D technology, which is why we're here today. So how do you design the world's most comfortable compression bra that actually fits with so many unique bodies, that can adapt to post-surgical compression, where you might have different body morphology, one breast, two breasts, but maybe one that's enlarged or swelling. I mean, there's all these little things that we had to figure out. And the way that we did that was through utilizing our tech. So from our seamless knit design, which are on these huge, circular knit looms, where we do these really cool patterns that are in 3D so we can see it around a body, to actually in our bra lab. So I think I mentioned just super quickly the team that we amassed. One of those things is Dr. Legine Lawson. So if you have this idea and you can set this pattern, how does that actually work with the body? And what I loved about the other presentations is really focusing on the customer. That's why we're here, right? So you can make the best thing that you think ever, and maybe it doesn't fit bodies really well, or it doesn't feel good on the body. So what we did is wear tested, and also worked with Dr. Legine Lawson in her bra lab, with her 3D imaging of how do breast and body tissue move with our bra in motion, right? Walking, running, exercising, all of these little buttons and electrodes, I call them, but monitors that go over different parts of the body so that we can see this 3D map of what our bra is doing in real time when a body's in motion, not just standing in place. And also when a body is in motion with different body shapes and sizes. So that was just amazing to learn what 3D tech could do for us to leverage the best design.
No, I just love that story. And, you know, I had the fortunate to finally understand who Prairie Wear was last July, and was very skeptical myself about how does one measurement get me into a product that actually fits. And so I just want to understand, I was so off base, like, I don't understand how this is going to work. Like, there's only 7 SKUs and 1 measurement. So how did you unlock this? What did you do, Holly?
That is such a great question, and probably the question we get the most. So that really ties into our core value of sustainability. And I know that word is used a lot these days. We were doing it before it was cool, kids. But really, what does sustainability mean? It's not just in practice of how we do as a business, it's also production. So the idea was, how can you do one bra that works for band size 26 to 52? And by the way, it doesn't matter geographically where they're at. It doesn't matter if they're on a medical journey, an everyday journey, maybe they're a nursing mom. How do you do that in 7 sizes? That's truly revolutionary in my mind. And the way that we did that, oh, thanks for putting that photo up, Brooke. So we fit so many different body shapes and sizes with the same product and only 7 sizes. And how do we do that with one measurement? We do that through our 3D technology and all of the wear testing that we did, but also really quality components. So again, back to that sustainability, high quality components mean that you have super durable, high performance yarn as your base, right? And not only that, it's Okotex Standard 100 certified, which means it's safe for your skin. You can take it right out of the package and put it on your body, or for our doctors and medical teams, they can use it directly in the OR, right? That same bra that you're gonna buy from us on our e-commerce store, you can get it in the package and put it right on your body. And that bra also lays on an OR table and is draped around a patient directly after surgery. So how do we do it? A lot of body mapping. The Al-Anon folks know way more about that than I do personally, but it really does make a difference. It allowed us to understand, how does gradient compression work with a body that is completely different in all shapes or sizes, and give that even compression. So that answer in terms of the one measurement, that was, I'm gonna give that back to our team and all of their expertise and their years and years in this industry of working with all kinds of bodies. Your rib cage doesn't change size, even when your body does. And so that one measurement is taken in a way that fits, and fits effectively for, gosh, Kayla, you would probably know this number better than I do, but probably 99% of people who use our fit chart. So pretty amazing. It's very accurate.
So I just want to just add a little bit more about how did you land on that magic number of 7? Like, why just 7 sizes? To me, I'm still, and just a plug, it's like we have less than a 2.3% return rate.
Yes.
Unheard of in the industry for, you know, bras. But anyways, how did 7 sizes? Why 7 sizes?
I think the answer is why not? So why not? We know we can do better. We know that as an industry, it's not just us. It's not just us sending product. It's also our retail stores, our medical facilities. And imagine what we've done from taking one bra that they had to carry 52 to have one style to 7. So not only are we using less shelf space, but we're also making it easier for them to order, to distribute. They have less stock loss, you know, all of those things across the board. And then the reason why we're all here is for our customer, our patient. And so why do we do it for them? Because it's easy. You know, when you go into a restaurant and there's 10 pages on the menu and you're like, oh goodness, what do I need here? I'm not sure what I like. And then you go to the restaurant with 10 items and you're like, I know what I want. This is going to be great. And it makes it so easy. We did all of the hard work to do something simple so that when you look at it, you can see yourself in it, you can find the right fit, and you don't have to try all of those in between sizes, do some special math, you know, try to figure out, okay, after surgery, what am I going to look like? You know, how's this going to fit? Well, guess what? It's still going to fit that same bra. And we also, using our technology and our team, leverage that to how can we up this game for someone that might have some additional swelling or some bandages, or some of our nursing moms that can get some really varying sizes of cup size without having to purchase a second bra or be uncomfortable and too tight in their bra. We created the extender. So you just zip that in when you need it to upsize one size, zip it out when you don't. And that way, again, on sustainability, but also adaptability and simplicity. One bra for everything that you need. And that's really been our focus. Thank you, Brooke. That is our extender. Yeah. And it is super simple. It really makes it effortless for people to adapt to their size without having to purchase another bra. And we all know it's not about sometimes, can you get another bra? Sure. But it's so much energy. It's so much work. And then try to find the one that fits. It's like, it can be really overwhelming. So we did all of the work to create a simple interface for customers to find their best fit.
Nice.
Yeah.
Kayla, I think you had a question for Holly.
I did have a question, and I was going to say, it is so overwhelming when you're trying to purchase a bra and you have to measure so many different areas of your body. And personally, I cannot tell you how many bras I have returned and had to ship back because it just didn't fit right. But when I started working with Prairie Wear, I did not believe that just one measurement would work, and it truly does. So, which leads me into my next question. Holly, what does sustainability mean at Prairie?
That is awesome. Sustainability to us is really a core value, and it's from the top tier to every team member. It's like we all take that to heart. So that means every decision that we make with the planet in mind. So we have one bag, one tag, right? We don't have multiple tags explaining our product. There's a QR code. You can go online and see information about it. You can interface with us digitally or on the phone if you'd like, or text us. Thanks if you need to reach us. But we keep it super simple. And our tag is, again, we use one tag for all of our products, that we use a recyclable product for the tag, the sticker. It's just from top to bottom, everything that we do is made to have least impact on the planet. So our stocking for 7 SKUs, it's less production, significantly less. We keep our color and SKU size really tight. So we have a very low SKU count, which means that anybody who carries us, it's super easy to keep in stock. And it's also less shipping, right? You're not having to ship a ton around. And then I think the other piece on sustainability that we've talked about already is just that best fit first time. We don't want returns. We don't want someone having to order 3 different sizes and trying them on at home. We know they're going to get the right fit. Trust the fit chart. We even have a fit recommender. You can throw in your number in there and it'll spit out what size we would recommend. It's super simple. And super simple means we did the hard work. We leveraged technology. We leveraged all of our thousands now of wear testers and our incredible technical design team to really create that simple interface. And that to me is sustainability. I think one other thing on sustainability that we don't say enough, we were just talking before this, you guys, as just a group chat, and saying, this is so normal for us that we don't necessarily realize that it's different. And so we don't talk about it a lot. But one of the things that we mentioned earlier in terms of sustainability, I'd completely forgotten, which is we're Oekotech Standard 100 certified. Like, we're safe for the skin. And so we're also extremely durable. And that means that you don't have to wash your hugger all the time. Yeah. Like, you can wear it for 7 to 14 days or longer.
It does.
Yeah. And it will still smell fresh. It's going to give it still that compression. You know, it's going to give that great feel every day without washing it. So we're saving washing and water. And then the other one is it's 10 times more durable than an average bra. And what does that even mean? It means like we save 9 bras from the landfill with our one, right? And it's not going to stretch out and sit in your drawer and, you know, get thrown away. You're just going to keep wearing it and using it, and long from if you're medical into everyday and active recovery. No.
I can attest to it being stink free. I play baseball and I have worn my huggers for tournaments all weekend long and they do not stink. So I love that technology. And then Holly, I also wanted to know, you know, it's apparent that Prairie Wear has definitely established a culture of technology to drive all functional areas within our company. But what influenced you most to start a new brand by intentionally creating a fully remote, paperless, global company?
That has always been a big dream. For the last 18 years, I've been working in business that was remote. So having technical tools to leverage small teams that are not regionally located. And so when the opportunity to start Prairie Wear came to fruition for me, it was, okay, I'm going to take this to the fullest extent. I want to be fully remote, absolutely paperless. This was in 2017 and 2017, 2006, anyway, 2014 maybe? It was a long time ago. But that just being able to leverage technical tools and find a super talented team, no matter where they're located, to positively impact this project was the dream. And we have, it's kind of a joke in our team that every piece of tech that we use, every app, every software, we just take it to the limit. Like, how can we really fully max out this experience? So on our e-commerce platform, we're just always pushing the buttons on, okay, guys, can you do this for us? Okay, that's a cool workflow, but can we do something else? Because this is what we're trying to do. We push all of our information from one app to the next app so that our other departments don't have to data enter anything. You know, we really make that as frictionless as possible from start to finish. And this really starts at our product level. So that 3D mapping, all that 3D information that we get also pushes into product costing, production, waste reduction. I mean, it's just incredible how all the tech can work together to provide efficiency from the inception to fruition. And fruition to me is into the customer's hands, right?
Well, Holly, I was just going to say that because, you know, coming from the sales side of the house, and what I admire most about this culture is the customer comes first. So when the information and technology, I can pull up information and I can know what just transpired with that customer, what they're going through, what we sold them, what any issues. And it's like, wow, that is so powerful. So the tools, I commend you. I know we have some questions in the chat, so I want to make sure we have time for that. But I have one more question for me, because I still don't know the answer yet. What came first, the product or the name Prairie Wear?
I feel like they just came together. So Prairies to us and our team is just an incredible environment that goes through a harsh winter and still has those beautiful wildflowers in the spring poking out through the snow, and just tremendous beauty and abundance, and incredibly badass. You know, that is definitely Prairie. It's our company. It's also our customers. You know, they're resilient, beautiful, amazing, and that really embodied also our product. And incredibly efficient, right? gosh, the prairie takes every little drop of water and creates something beautiful. And I feel like we distill that essence into our products, like super simple for you. A lot of work for us to make it super simple for you. So that's the prairie to me. They do all these things underneath the earth to create this beautiful landscape that we don't have to do, but we get to enjoy. So I feel like the product and the name came together.
And, just to add to is that I know that it was developed from a need, right, of doing better for the body and better for the planet. But I also see that this is better for everyone, right? Because it is skin safe and ready for if you're a runner or active. But, this leads into a question that someone posted in the chat is they love your approach. Do you think that it can apply to other categories of garments?
Yeah, I think any of this technology can apply. It's how can we dream it up and how can we use it? And what I love is, yes, we can do the work leveraging digital tools. I mean, I just heard in the chat previously or in the presentation previously, fitting over 100 people with a 99% accuracy with the custom suit. Yes, that's what we want. What we want is simplicity so that you, our end consumer, can really get the product that fits the best. So does it apply? Absolutely. Is it really difficult? Yes. Can it be cost prohibitive? Depends on your company's ethos. Yeah.
All right.
That's so exciting. Thank you all so much for just such an insightful talk. I feel like I need to go get myself a hugger now.
We're sending you one, Brooke.
Okay, deal. Yeah, absolutely. I also want to share, you guys have a little thing tell me about this. What is this?
Yeah, so just a QR code, guys. We're going to put your name in for a hugger because they're awesome. But also, if you have any questions, if you want to just reach out to us, scan the code, let us know. We love collaboration, ideas, feedback. What are you thinking? Anything you have for us, we love it.
Yeah.
Incredible. We'll also throw that link in the chat for our viewers too, in case you don't have time to scan that QR code. But at this point, I want to say thank you so much.
Thanks, Brooke.
Thank you. And I'm going to welcome back Saul Guzman to take us into our last panel of the day.
Bye, everybody. Thank you.
Good to see you, Saul and Brooke. Thanks.
Thank you, Holly. Thank you, Kayla. Thanks, Brooke. All right, we are in the home stretch. Get ready for our next panel titled Tapping into the Future of Commerce Experience. In this next panel, we dive into the future of e-commerce, from the Apple Vision Pro to 3D retail experiences. Cutting-edge technology is transforming the way and how we shop online. Immersive AR and VR letting customers interact with product in entirely new ways, while 3D modeling allows them to visualize items in their own space before buying. Our next panel of experts and fashion innovators will explore the digital tools setting new standards for online shopping, personalization, and customer engagement. Let's welcome them to the stage for this dynamic conversation. Hello, Saphir, Josh, Noah, Ross. Welcome to 3D Tech Fest. Saphir, I believe you're moderating this discussion, so I'll let you take it away.
So I heard, thank you so much, Saul. Hey, everyone. I hope you've enjoyed the session so far. I'm actually super excited to wrap up this festival with this amazing panel discussion about the future of consumer and brand experience and shopping experiences, with a distinguished panel that I'll introduce in a minute. Just 2 hours ago, just to give a little bit of context for why this conversation is interesting, is important. Just 2 hours ago, we heard during the course side presentation that we're looking at 105% estimated CAGR growth of global retail sales in the metaverse and virtual stores from 2023 to 2030, which will allow us to reach about $450 billion in 2030, which is incredible. We also learned that 93% of US brands and retailers will increase investment in immersive experiences in the next couple of years. So this just goes to show how important this topic is, and I wanted to thank Alvanon and my esteemed guests here for giving us the opportunity to discuss it. All right, so my name is Safir Bilali. I'm an educator. One of the topics I teach is digital creation at Art Center College of Design, where actually I am right now with my students. So I actually brought the festival into my classroom. I'm an advisor in digital innovation to fashion and luxury brands like LVMH, but also creative technology companies like Epic Games. I'm also the founder of Aleph, which is a program I'm building in Morocco to bring excellence in education, in design and innovation to the African continent. And I'm joined by this fantastic panel of professionals and thought leaders whom I'm going to let introduce themselves. Let's start with...
Start with who? Me?
Yes.
Okay. I'm going to do a quick presentation just because it sort of says what the Fashion Innovation Center is quicker. Okay, so let me get back to the beginning and let me get full size. Okay, so what I really wanted to do, explain the Fashion Innovation Center. Started with a dress shop in Chelsea. I didn't know what I was doing. But I did eventually end up realizing computers were math, clothing was math. And so I actually was illustrating on a color graphics computer alongside Gerber at a trade show ages ago. But at the same time, it went nowhere at that time, a little bit early for market. I ended up joining a VR Tech Hub years ago because I knew that was the future. Oops. And I became part of a costume society. So I was actually seeing all this amazing clothing no one was seeing. I started creating historical fashion with the idea that I was going to make a VR museum and started to learn how to use clothes that way. And then I started to teach clothes. So I've basically done 4 courses, this being the most revised and latest one. I've got students from all over the world. They learn well. So I was dreaming of the VR museum, and one of the schools locally took it on as a project and created this absolutely exquisite museum that you could put a headset on and navigate. The problem was it was on the computer. It wasn't on the headset. So I got a second museum, and this was built by Ian Lougheed, who works with us as well. And he's done a brilliant job. You can put the headset, you can go to 4 different rooms, you can see a comparison of 3D scan versus 3D created. And at the same time, we have 3D scanning, so you can actually see something within the room. So one of our dreams is VR showrooms navigatable in the web. So we've done a prototype at this point for IACDE that has the biannual and online 3D simulations. I'm going to leave it to you to look into that one. I'm part of the committee. And then, of course, the Apple Vision Pro headset. So I was one of the first in Canada to get this headset, first to order it, as far as I'm concerned, at 5 a.m. in the morning. And then at the same time, have been thrilled with it ever since, to the point I was watching the 3D Tech Festival yesterday on the Vision Pro. So our concept is the Apple Vision Pro showroom. Yes, a bit ahead of the market, but it has to start someplace. And at the same time, it is a proof of concept. We hope to take it further. It's also for the apparel industry versus myself, or for the retail customer. And again, the beginning. I sort of want to remind everybody that the Apple Vision Pro is perhaps the iPhone of the 2007. And that, let me just get out of here. Oh, there we go. The Apple Vision Pro, and it hasn't stopped. Okay, let's just see if this helps. Oh, there we go. The Apple Vision Pro is the iPhone of 2007. That was the beginning. So imagine where we're going to be in 10 years. Another thing, too, is that the domestic version's coming out next year. Yeah, it's going to be expensive. But at the same time, important part is getting into the market, developing for the market, being part of the market. And I would say in conclusion, again, I want world to be sustainable. I want manufacturing to be fair. And again, I can answer further questions later.
Excellent. Thank you, Roz. Noah, you want to go next?
Yeah, I'll just do a quick introduction. Yeah, so I'm Noah Miller. I have been working in VR for about 8 years. I did my master's in affordances in VR, and I'm also currently working on my PhD in transformative experiences in VR. I also do programming for space research, and I'm the technical lead at a research and development motion capture company, and also working as lead programmer on Roz's project with the Apple Vision Pro. Yeah, that's me.
Thank you. Josh?
Hi. Thanks, Safir. Good morning, good evening. I'm Josh Hansen, and for the last 10 years, I've been the managing director at a 3D visualization and software company called Pixelpool. And thanks to Albanon, I'm really delighted to be here today. I'd like to show you just a quick video introduction. If you're not familiar with Pixelpool, put together a quick video, and if you don't mind playing that. Thanks.
All right, amazing work. I recognize some of that work from my time at VF. Great, Pixelpool has been a great partner over the years. Great. So now that we've heard a bit about what you're all working on, I'd love to start with your why. Why are you doing this work? What problems are you trying to solve? So maybe I will start with Roz and Noah. What are you up to with the Apple Vision Pro at Fashion Innovation Center?
Again, sustainability. As a sewer, I know how long it takes to make something. So therefore, how can you make a $10 t-shirt and ship it all over the world? So again, I really believe in fashion AI and I also really believe in fashion technology. I want to make it more sustainable and I want to make sure labor pricing is positive versus slave labor. And I know technology can do this. And yes, early adopter, bleeding edge. But I'm hoping this time the timing's right because the Apple Vision Pro is truly amazing. If you haven't tried it, go off to the Apple Store, get a tour. It only gets better. And at the same time, seeing things in 3D means you see the whole garment in 3D. You're not seeing the front or the side. You can't see historical garments. I'm not going to go into the rant about how little you can see in museums, but even if you can, sometimes you can't see the whole garment. You can only see the front of the garment. So that would be my biggest passion is let's document the historical fashion in 3D and let the world see it. And one of those ways, again, is using technology. So we've got the VR museum on the Oculus, and now we're working on seeing what we can develop for the Apple Vision Pro.
Amazing. Noah?
Yeah, I would, again, harp on the sustainability and the efficiency that can come with using a digital platform such as the Apple Vision Pro to both showcase clothing and review clothing and be able to inspect it in ways that are more immersive and like real life than ever before. I think that we're at a really good time, both with the attitude towards the adoption of these technologies and then just the level of fidelity of these technologies. I think the way I look at the Apple Vision Pro is the way that I felt about VR in 2016. It just feels like that next big leap, where it's mind-blowing again. I've been working in this field a long time, and for a while it felt like it was stagnating, and now it just feels like, wow, we're like actually at the point where I feel like the visual fidelity and the ease of use is just so high that we can start making decisions and start making real world decisions in VR. So yeah.
Yeah, I have to say I must agree. I own a Vision Pro myself. I actually brought it to my class today. It's an incredible medium. There's still a little bit of a barrier to adoption, which we'll talk about later on. But we're seeing other solutions kind of pop up on the market, and I think the convergence of 3D creation tools, 3D visualization tools, and then these media, this hardware that allows you to interact with the scenes, with the content, are putting us in a really, really fascinating space. Josh, how about you at Pixel Pool?
Sure. So what are we working on, and the why, I think was the question. So well, at Pixel Pool, we've really dedicated ourselves to helping this industry, the apparel and footwear brands, to help really accelerate this big shift to 3D and virtual solutions. And we've done it in 3 ways. One is with asset creation. So we help brands by creating tens of thousands of 3D assets per year to help them scale out. We realize a lot of brands have 3D capabilities internally, but it's one thing to create dozens or hundreds of products, but most brands have thousands, so we help them out by creating 3D assets. Also, we do visualization, so both renders of spaces, of fully merchandised spaces, but also real time. So we use the Unreal Engine when necessary to be able to do like full walkthroughs of spaces. And then our flagship software, it's a virtual showroom with a cloud catalog, and that's called Detail, and you'll hear me talk about Detail quite a bit. And then the why, I think that Raza and Noah hit on some of those points. I mean, we're really here to help brands because 3D has big advantages compared to like traditional and analog methods. So, these advantages, the biggest one I think is speed to market, but also this idea of like convenience and collaboration, and then also, of course, sustainability. The speed to market part is, brands that are using 3D products and spaces throughout this like go to market process, they can make faster decisions, right? They don't have to wait for physical samples. They can provide, their consumers what they want right now. So being able to be on trend and be able to go through quick design iterations and get products out faster is a huge competitive advantage, right? So of course, yeah, what's better, making decisions based on Illustrator files, waiting around for samples to come in, or the alternative, which is working in 3D, being able to iterate quickly, being able to present those products in a 3D space, in a virtual space, and in that vein, you can like tell your audience a lot about the product, about the collection, about its seasonal story with virtual spaces. So virtual spaces are probably the best way to tell stories and to present. So for instance, like if you're an outdoor brand and you're making a presentation to stakeholders about a technical jacket, right? Why not do it on the top of a mountain? Or, if you're a swimwear brand, why not tell your story, on the beach or at a pool, right? So virtual spaces, don't think of them necessarily as just digital twins of a retail space, but also, it's really whatever you can imagine. The other advantage, I think, is the why is convenience and collaboration, right? So, when you work from a cloud and virtual-based platform, you can collaborate and annotate and present and share all across the world, right? So having like a virtual showroom, for instance, You can have designers in London working with, marketing people in New York, working with, space designers and VM people maybe on the West Coast, maybe working with suppliers in Asia, and they can all work together. And what they're trying to do is create an amazing consumer experience for that brand. So, today brands are still, I think, tethering themselves quite a bit to like offices and physical spaces and physical products. And 3D and virtual solutions can help like provide freedom from those geographical constraints, right? So I've talked to a lot of brands. I speak to brands every week, and a lot of them are still spending literally millions of dollars on account meetings, building out physical showrooms. And, to me, that's just very outdated and wasteful. And, again, the last thing I think is we touched on it with sustainability, right? So you can really reduce the amount of samples throughout the design process. You don't need to have people flying in from all over the world for meetings into expensive showrooms, into expensive cities. And with 3D, you have less waste and you can use less space. And then the last thing would be this idea of interdepartmental collaboration as you go to market. So having a virtual tool that allows designers and marketing people and brand people and VM and account teams to all work together in like a virtual sandbox to have access to products, spaces, fixtures, and be able to put together their own curated spaces. And I have NDAs, so I can't really mention a lot of names of brands, but a lot of the most successful brands are doing this right now, right? They're using our detail software and they're moving as fast as they can because, like I mentioned, there's a big advantage of speed to market. And it allows them to break down, using detail allows them to break down these interdepartmental barriers and move quickly.
Thanks, Josh. I agree. Sustainability is definitely a big component of this ability to have more and much more efficient go-to-market process, with less impact on the environment throughout the go-to-market process, right? But I also think from a business point of view, it makes a lot of sense, right? Real-time collaboration, real-time visualization, the ability to make decisions early in the process that lead to much tighter assortments, a product that actually responds to specific needs, but also these technology allow you to supercharge your storytelling, really get in front of your audience, in front of your consumers, an experience that complements the product experience. I think there was a Bain and Company study that showed that 80%, it was in 2023, 80% of the customers they interviewed said that the experience a company provide is as important as its products and services. It's huge. And I think, technology, basically 3D technology, real-time technology, these new ways of accessing and sharing this content definitely contributes to that. That's great. So let's talk a little bit about the evolution of these digital tools in retail. So for instance, spatial computing, specifically the Apple Vision Pro, but also Meta's Orion glasses, which were launched, a couple of days ago, Snap's spectacles. They're still an aspirational tool for a lot of people, right? The consumer versions are not always accessible. There's a little bit of angst in terms of subscribing to these new devices, to these new approaches. But in the case of the Vision Pro, Roz and Noah, what has the response been like as you share your project on the Vision Pro? As you shared your project on the Vision Pro?
People have been quite interested. Again, at the same time, they go, "Oh, the expense." But again, Meta just brought out a $300 headset. If anything, it's really neat because there's actually competition in that industry. Again, one of my favorite things to do is you put someone into the Apple Vision Pro and they go speechless. Oh, wow. Even Noah did it. He was impressed. So again, I don't think people comprehend. At the same time, I would say in conclusion that people overestimate what will happen in 2 years and underestimate what will happen in 10.
Love that. Noah, what is your future vision for what the work you're doing could be?
Well, I also wanted to touch on the question you just asked in terms of the reception of the Apple Vision Pro. It's interesting, and it's been a problem that's been in VR kind of since the beginning, which is that it's not a technology that's very easy to communicate the benefits of. It's something you have to try in person. So it's interesting because we talk about digital and we talk about how we have all these advantages because we can send this stuff all over the world. But when having people adopt this technology, it's really has to be like experienced in person. We've seen for years that 2D trailers of VR video games just don't seem to work. Like, it looks terrible, and then you get in there and you're just like, oh my gosh, this is the best thing ever. So it's interesting because you talk to a lot of people and you say that you're working with the Apple Vision Pro, and on paper it's just like, oh, well, it's not that different from the Quest 3. But then when you use it, you're like, oh my gosh, this is completely different. So I think it's an interesting problem that is just going to have to be solved with either like sending people the Apple Vision Pro or going and demoing it in person. Which is, again, I still think it's a funny issue to have when you're, selling a digital technology. In terms of the future, I think I would just have to go back to the sustainability of it. I think that being able to, for example, not have to physically produce a million different garments just to select and pass on most of them, I think is a massive, massive deal. And I think from the Apple Vision Pro perspective, from a development perspective, I think it's really nice that we're about to have a design paradigm in VR in a way that I feel like we've never had before. I don't think we've had this level of user experience from the ground up. The meta is really good, but once you use the Apple Vision, you're just like, oh my gosh, this feels like, Windows versus Mac again. So.
Yeah. Josh, you've seen 3D technology in retail and apparel evolve, right? You've seen brands replacing manual processes, creating both consumer-facing but also industry-facing content. You've also fully embraced the affordances of real-time 3D visualization. In your experience, how have you seen these brands reshape the way they approach speed, they approach collaboration, but also consumer experiences?
Yeah, so I can speak from my experience. I mean, over the last 10 years, there has been a tremendous amount of software tools that have been designed and developed specifically for apparel and retail brands to work more efficiently. And ultimately brands, they want to have strong visuals. It's, we're very visual creatures. We need to have strong visuals. In apparel and retail, you need to have data, you need to have information, and you need to have that integrated as well. So, the ability to, design, present, review, and decide, you need to have strong visuals and data and information all integrated together. And 3D and the ecosystem of tools that have been developed are really providing that to brands that have invested in them. 3D is delivering on this promise that it has of speed and collaboration. And I think on the flip side, brands that haven't developed or maybe 3D expertise, or maybe they're not that far along in their 3D journey, they're just not getting those benefits right now.
Yeah, I agree with that. I wanted to go back a little bit on the topic of sustainability and visualization. Going back maybe to Roz and Noah, your work touches on a few things, but one of the things is helping brands visualize clothing in 3D. with obviously sustainability in focus. How do you see tools like the Apple Vision Pro, spatial computing tools, contributing to more sustainable practicing in a very practical way?
Well, I would start with saying that an Apple Vision Pro to show off your product line is a small investment at $3,500 US. If you could show 50 garments plus, let's go 600 per season minimum. I know one company was doing that years ago, and have your buyer make a decision on this sample, that sample, and be able to see it in a way that's totally real. I mean, we end up making 3D garments and then converting them to 2D photographs. So we need to actually be able to see these garments. And of course, the idea is to evolve in changing the style lines, not dramatically at this point, but at the same time, hem lengths, sleeve lengths, a lot of the stuff you do with 3D sampling now. And then again, visualizing it in the room you're in, seeing that garment in a way that consumers will see it. I feel this will help brands, I will help buyers, and eventually the general public.
So I had the opportunity to demo the Apple Vision Pro to a team of digital innovators in a big organization, in the fashion and luxury space. I won't name names, but it was a great experience. It was a few days after the device was actually launched, so it was new to everyone, including myself. One of the things that was challenging for me was the fact that fundamentally the Vision Pro and any device that is meant to be worn as opposed to be shared, with the larger public is a very personal device. There are physiological, anatomical constraints that you have to take into account when you present content to a larger audience. You have to adjust the distance between the eyes. You have to, in some cases with a Vision Pro, you have to do the eye setup again because it's with some people, the tracking, the eye tracking is very different. How do you feel the industry, and I'm going way beyond Apple at this point, but Meta, Snap, etc. How do you feel the industry might look at that and find ways to bridge the gap between the traditional media, like screens and maybe holographic displays and things like that, and these very personal devices? Maybe this is a question for Noah.
Yeah.
That's a good question. I think I'll answer more the advantages of the personalization. I think that it's true that the Apple Vision Pro is really hard to demo because there's 30 different sizes of faceplates for blocking the light around you, and that affects the comfort. It also it is kind of annoying to have to set up the hands and set up the eye tracking every single time. But I do think that creates a better experience. I think that when we talk about the Apple Vision Pro, I think that the people that we're looking at using this is more, in development, in business, rather than consumers at the moment because of this issue that we're talking about. I think that if we're talking about adoption of this for social experiences and having a bunch of people have them, it's going to have to be cheaper headsets like the one that Meta just announced. But reality is it's going to have to be something like the holographic glasses that they announced that aren't going to come out for a long time from now, right? Because they're just going to have to be seamless and on your head all the time. I think the advantage of the Apple Vision Pro is that you're just not going to get that visual fidelity and that quality of experience without a device of that caliber. So in my opinion, I think that they're just kind of in two different places, where I think the Meta Quest 3 is kind of dabbling in both sides. The Apple Vision Pro is just like this, hyper high realism experience that has a smaller market at the moment, but I think will branch out in the future. And yeah, and I think the holographic glasses will probably be just for everyone.
Yeah, I have to admit the experience on a device like the Apple Vision Pro is well worth the effort that you put into customizing it and personalizing it. That's definitely the case. So let's talk a little bit about the future. Looking at maybe a decade into the future, do you foresee a reality where physical stores become largely obsolete due to the rise of immersive online shopping experience? Or where do you see, because we're obviously in a transition time. Things are changing very much. The channels are evolving, the content is evolving, the quality, the visual quality and fidelity is evolving. But where, Josh, where do you think the future of the shopping experience will go based on these developments?
Well, yeah, good question. I mean, I certainly think that there's a lot of room for improvement, right? We've been in this same sort of web paradigm of everyone having, similar e-commerce experiences. And I think people really enjoy shopping and going in and getting an immersive branded experience. So I think that there's a huge opportunity to improve the shopping experience. And I think that there's still a few barriers that need to be figured out before we do that. I mean, we've been talking about like virtual fitting and things like that for a long time. I think that that's a barrier that hopefully gets solved over time. And, I think we all envision a world where we can have an extremely photorealistic, immersive 3D experience to be able to shop, try on clothes, using a lot of the technology we have today, but of course having it advanced beyond where it is today. I think there's still some advancements that need to be made, but to your point, just a few minutes ago, also people need to change how they think about shopping and accept these kind of new mediums of it. So wearing headsets, for instance, is something that a lot of people maybe feel still a little bit uncomfortable doing. So I think it's a combination of people changing the way that they shop, but then also some of the technology that needs to be developed.
And again, the experience has to be worth it, right? And which for the most part we're all striving to do. Roz, do you have any thoughts about the future of the shopping experience and the future of brand and product storytelling?
I think it has to be both. And I think it's one thing that the shops aren't doing enough of. They need to have some more interaction in terms of technology. And if you couldn't afford the Apple Vision Pro or something similar, you could come in and try it in the store. I think one thing is that with the digital showrooms, you can make a decision online and then go actually try it on, or else feel confident in ordering it from that store. So, I mean, it balances it. I also think, again, imagine going into a store and being in both the real showroom and the interactive showroom. I mean, those things are possible. Again, I think the technologies have to complement each other. I try online shopping every once in a while. And again, it doesn't quite work for me. And I don't know that it ever will. I don't care if we get haptic gloves or anything, but I want to be able to go in, go touch, and be inspired to do so.
Well said. I think the potential for storytelling is for me one of the biggest ones. Brand storytelling, product storytelling. Again, I think one of the studies, I think it was a BCG and Highsnobiety study last year, basically found out that Gen Z, which is the generation that's coming up with a lot of purchase power now, what they want are stories over product. They want knowledge over possession. They want community over crowds, and participation in experiences over observation. So they want to be immersed in the process of maybe even defining what product it is that they're purchasing, right? They want a great story. They want to be entertained. Yes, they want to be informed, but they very much want to be part of the whole experience. And I think these technologies definitely cater to that.
That is very well said. Well, it is.
I'm wondering if there are any questions in the audience. So let's see. Oh, there you go. It's exciting to see these tools being used across both internal processes for brands and shopping experiences for consumers. What about applications for other industries or types of experiences? That's a great question.
I think I can answer that. Over 50% of the Fortune 500 companies are looking into the Apple Vision Pro, if not owning them. That includes Adidas, that includes Porsche. Apparently the displays or what they can do at the moment are even wonderful. So I think that other companies, other people are looking into this technology in terms of communicating, participating, whatever, with their customers. What about you, Noah?
I mean, this is like a massive question. If we're just talking about how immersive technology is going to be used, I mean, Walmart's already using it to train employees. So that's already something that's happening. I think that in the future with, mixed reality or AR glasses, just like identification of objects, we've also been talking about being able to identify when somebody's, passed out and being able to apply CPR with the right rhythm and everything, with instructions. I don't know. It's maybe I didn't fully understand the question, but it's just like there's so many different places. I do art experiences at festivals in VR, in AR and VR. Yeah, there's so much. I think the only thing I think I would say is that I really do think the future of these immersive technologies is mostly mixed reality. I think people like to see the real world. They like to be able to walk around, and yeah, I think we're just going to see more and more of this just literally bleed into everything as time goes on.
Right, Josh, one last thought.
Yeah, I mean, I would agree with all those things. I'm excited to see what happens in the future across all industries. Not just, we talk a lot about retail and shopping, but there's applications, again for training, for safety, for health. Obviously for visualization of things like I know, Safir, you were in the auto industry, so there's a lot of visual that industry has really been leading the charge for decades about immersive visualizations. So yeah, I think that there's a lot of really exciting potential.
Yeah, I agree. One of the huge affordances that I see, the huge opportunities personally, is in education. There was a report from the Institute from the Future a few years ago that said that the way of learning in the future is through emotion-laden, immersive experiences. And this is, 3D technology, interactive, immersive experiences, immersive learning in educational experiences have a long way to go, but I'm personally really excited about what may happen there. So one last question. We said, love the thought about mixed reality. So much of life is on screen. Integrating tech into more embodied work is exciting. Okay, that was not a question. That was a statement, and I think it sums things up quite well. Dear panelists, thank you very much for your time. This has been a fascinating conversation. I could speak about this all day, but we have to leave the stage for the next presentation. The next, well, actually, we're the last one, so we're gonna actually wrap up the festival. Thank you for your time. I hope this was useful for our audience.
Yeah. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. I'd also love to invite, oh, he's gone. Never mind. I wanted to invite you guys if there were any last closing thoughts on this topic to wrap us out. Please feel free to, any calls to action, Roz or Noah, about your work, or Safir, for our audience.
Okay. I can start. I firstly want to thank Alvanon. We're going to be able to use the avatars in our development, our prototype, which again, thank you, thank you. Another thing I want to say is anybody else that wants to know more or participate in any way, please contact us.
Absolutely.
I'll just give Roz's typical call to action, which is if you haven't tried the Vision Pro, run out and go to a store and try it. Again, it's not something you can really understand until you actually try it, and then you'll actually understand the technology. And
For my part, one of the advice that I give to my students is to continuously search for opportunities to learn and find out about what's happening. The technology landscape is evolving so quickly. It's really, it can be frightening at times, but at the same time, what we want to do is make sure that we understand what technology actually can do for us. It's not the answer to everything. We have to really really understand that there are certain things that are best done in person. And best done with the tactile, the physical, the tangible. But it's also important to understand how technology, what role technology plays in our everyday lives, in the way we shop, in the way we learn, in the way we live and relate with others. So these conversations are really, really important for us to have, just so that we can discuss, because we're all learning, right? We're all trying to figure out where things are going. So I really appreciate the opportunity to discuss this with y'all.
Oh my gosh, absolutely. Well, it's, we can shop for clothing digitally, but nothing replaces the feel of fabric, right? Like there's a lot of confidence that has to be made in stuff like that if we're going to do it all online. So absolutely, it's a balance. Saphira, Roz, Noah, and Josh, thank you so much for closing out the fest with such an exciting panel. I'm going to go ahead and bring back up Saul Guzman, and we're going to take us out. Have a great day, you guys. Thank you for joining us.
Bye.
Yeah.
Saul.
I love it. Take us out. We're done. That's a wrap.
We're done. No. It has been an absolutely incredible 3 days, you guys. Like, there have been so many robust conversations. I'm trying to think back through the first few days of all of the things that we've learned.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, why we do this, right? We do this to make, education, learning, resources open and accessible to everyone. And so I know that a lot of people, are still working and watching this. So for all of you who missed some sessions, you can go back, you can play those from next week. And the cool thing about this is just to have it there for you as a resource, if you're tackling digital fabrics, if you're doing 3D and DPC, if you're curious about AI, if you want the numbers to back up, those conversations about getting more investment, watch the Core Site Research, session. But we're very excited. And
absolutely.
Any, closing remarks from me? I mean, we keep going, right? And so there's a 3D event in person in Amsterdam in November, which we'll be sending more information about that now that 3D Tech Fest is done with. So if you're in Europe, in the Amsterdam, Germany, Scandinavia region, this could be a really good opportunity to meet in person, connect with industry peers, and have these conversations in real life.
Absolutely. From all of us at 3D Tech Fest, thank you for joining. It's been a super exciting 3 days. Everything from, my phone is ringing. Everything from beginning the festival with talking about a brand's responsibility to culture, with some of these people that are doing the work on the ground, bringing new designers in and collaborating with brands like Felita Harris from Raise Fashion, to the conversation with Brandon Keeney that we talked about at the beginning of the day, highlighting the use of 3D in many, many facets of business, not just DPC and product development, right? And we closed that day with Mischief, and day 2 included so much stuff about how to do the things we're doing as a technical industry, right? With panels on digital fabrics, conversations with manufacturers, some research conversations.
For all the Alvanon diehard fans, there's the masterclass with the technical team, which always does really, really well. So if you want to get technical, Liz and Kim will be, session.
It was
Check
a
it out.
great session, well beyond my understanding of technical things. I learned a lot, though. I really, really did. Yeah, Fashion Enter joined us. Jessica Goodyear talked about 3D fashion and its accessibility for neurodiverse creatives. I'm like going through all the things. Gabby and Matt, James Max, conversation about learning Clo in 29 days.
Yeah.
29 days to learn
Absolutely. I feel like we're gonna have to go back and watch some of these recordings.
It's amazing.
Gonna need a little bit of a break from
It's amazing.
planning.
Knitwear
'Cause
Lab
it's been
too.
6
And then
months.
all of the stuff that we've got to experience today. It's been an absolute pleasure. We would love to hear from you if you want to reach out to marketing@alvanon.com. If you have any thoughts regarding the festival or any key takeaways, we always love to hear what's resonating with you in terms of perhaps curating something for the future. We'll see.
Absolutely.
All of the recordings are going to be available on October 2nd online. If you've already registered for the festival, you'll receive access to those recordings via email and the 3D Tech Fest website.
Yeah.
If you have not registered, this is your chance. Get in there, get access to all of this stuff, share it with your teams, share it with your colleagues, with your friends, with your students, with people you haven't talked to in 10 years that might be interested in something like this.
Yeah, why not?
Why not? All right. Well, Saul, congratulations.
Thank you. We did it.
We did it.
All right, everyone. We'll see you next year. Take care.